There we go. I hear myself. And close this down. Oop, that's all my... There we go. I hear myself. Oops. Okie dokie. There we go. Everything is good. Oh boy, I'm pale as a ghost. Let me see if I can change that. Oh, nope. Cannot change that. Can I? Oh, that's this thing. Okay. Very, very pale. Let's see if we can. Oh boy, that was bright. Here we go. Kinda not great, but it'll have to do. How is everyone doing? Sorry about that. Stream is starting now. Yeah, that's fine. I'll be pale. That's perfectly okay. Camera relay. Starting soon. Boop. There we go. How's everyone doing? Sunday. Should have been streaming. Stockholm by night generate creation, but honestly, this week has been a bit rough on the edges. Rough to me anyway. Ooh, okay, I can make it a little bit brighter here. Contrast. Ooh, that is not good. Okay, I'll be pink instead. Much better. Here we go. So I just wanted to do something a little bit more chill. So we're going to be doing some character creation. And let's go and see what the polls have said about this character creation. So let me just... Here we go. The Primogen. Reload. Which clan do you think she belongs to and what is her concept? And we have a winner, the Ministry's Socialite Fixer. 108 votes, she got 31.5%. La Sombre International Spy got 25%. Banu Hakim Supermodel, honestly, I'll be honest, I was rooting for that one. I got 23.1, and Toreador Fashionista got 20.4. And Toreador Fashionista was the original lead, so it's interesting that she didn't make it that far anyway. Hi everyone, hi Huddy, welcome. I'm going to start the background music. Tell me if this is too loud, because I noticed last stream that the music was way too loud. So if this is too loud, just let me know. This is the soundtrack for Vampire the Masquerade, Preludes, We Eat Blood and All Our Friends Are Dead, which is honestly a pretty not great game. It's not great, also written by a person who's not great. I said it, but it has great music, so it's got something for it. Hi everyone. We're going to be making a minister character. We're going to be using Fat2Mad's character sheet, which I didn't confirm in game, so to speak, but we are definitely going to be using that. So I need to bring up Discord. Also need to make an announcement for this. Let's see. Let me just get a link to the stream. I was also, by the way, we just finished playing Dungeons and Dragons, running my Sunday game. So I will be streaming again next Sunday, so that I won't be streaming right after D&D, which honestly takes a little bit out of me. But let's see here. Let's make an announcement. Let's see, Patreon. Everyone, we are live making a ministry socialite fixer, and boop, I'm gonna post that to my Twitter, my Discord, and here we go for Twitter. I need to download the sheet. It's a very well made sheet. It's 12 pages long. I don't think we'll be using all 12 pages, but it has pretty much everything you need. One thing I noticed with the basic V5 sheet is that it is very limited in terms of backgrounds, or, well, your merits. Backgrounds are cooked into merits and flaws these days, but it's very limited in space. So I think you made a really nice new version of the sheet there. So, but everything should make sense. If you have any questions about character creation, choices I'm doing, anything I'm finding, just let me know. And I will try to do my best to reply. There is quite a lot of you watching right now, so that's fun. That's great. Oh, almost forgot to get the sheet. Let me see here. You posted it over here. So I'm going to use the fillable sheet, which is this one. And where did I download that? I'm going to put it in. Here we go. Not in emojis. I'm trying to find good Dungeons and Dragons emojis for my oh, I already had it there. Cool. For my group, but there aren't really that many out there, surprisingly. Okay, V5. Let's see here. No, we're not in there. Going. Oh, this is private stuff. Shouldn't be showing you this. Boom. Let's get it from here instead. And let's see. Where did I put it? Hello, darkness. Character sheet. There we go. This is the fillable one. Perfect. Everything is good. We're good to go. So, and I'm, that's, gonna close that one. And here we go. So, here we go. It's gonna be an Anarch, obviously, because we're doing Ministry. The Ministry, or the previously known followers of Set, have joined the Anarch movement. So, that's certainly a thing. Sorry for drinking into the mic, by the way. I'll try to do my best not to do that. So, already we're getting some nice information from good old pal Paladin Demo, the Odense pack, which we will read a little bit about in the Camarilla book before we get started. Also, sorry, I will increase the size of my chat now so I can see what y'all are telling me. Okay, there we go. I will not drink the mic, I promise, but I will try to mute my mic next time I'm drinking. The Odense Pact by Aisha Talwar, Vizier of the Dispossessed Children of Hakim. So, basically, the Ministry applied for membership in both the Camarilla and the Anarchs. Things happened when they applied for the Camarilla, so we're going to just go through that a little quickly. Do you prefer the array for attributes and skills or point by done with EXP? I prefer arrays, actually, and I will go into that in a little bit, but that's a good question, Onion Kid. Actually, I would not prefer arrays in the sense that I think the previous character creation model was better, but I also felt that the arrays are there for a good reason, and I will go into that. So the circumstances surrounding the Banu Hakim entry into the Camarilla are little known, but here is what I heard. The sorcerer known as Urshulgi back in Alamut began a purge of all the children of Hakim, his inhuman mind deemed unworthy. Read everyone who had abandoned the path of Hakim and had turned to religion, basically. This judgment extended to any who abandoned, there you go, Hakim in favor of Allah. Some say his refusal to disavow the Book of Peace destroyed Jamal, who held the title of eldest at the time, but we cannot prove this. Yes, he's dead. Very, very dead. As you would imagine, many children of Hakim balked at the idea of abandoning faith. They absconded, falling on the Camarilla's mercy. These vampires, the entire Vizier cast, and many of the warriors, so I understand, pledged to serve the sect where the Bruja and Gangrel had failed, having made several entreaties to this effect over the last 2 decades. So, yeah, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the Ministry? We'll get there. The groundwork was already laid down, you see. The obstacles had always been the clan's mutual enmity with the Tremere. 3 things happened to make their admission a possibility. The first was the Bruja departure. The second was the Tremere loss in Vienna. We've covered that one. House the Hexe, which I believe was the old name for it, basically blew up. The third was the Sabbat's Gehenna Crusade that gave us a common enemy on the battlefield of our homelands. When many of our faithless siblings seemed to join, or at least assist, the Canaanite unbelievers, the Sabbat, our dedication to this pact grew hard as the mask of steel. Diction way off. What do you mean? Eli cases with all 3 bucks I got my judge. Sorry, I don't understand. You see, the Camarilla felt weakened by the war and the rise of the Inquisition, yet in a position of negotiating strength all at once. The ancient enemy of the Banu Hakim, the Tremere, were hamstrung, and a vacancy awaited the assassin's attendance. It may surprise you that the Camarilla held meetings with both the accursed followers of Set and us Hakimites on the same night to decide on which of the 2 would join. The Ministry, as they styled themselves these nights, met Justicars in one city, while we Banu Hakim met the sect's representatives in some kitchen in an irrelevant Danish town. Their meeting was opulent and hidden behind a NATO gathering in the same hotel. Ours was ignominious and out of sight. Theirs blew up, ours did not. The Camarilla lay the death of those Justicars at the feet of the Setites. I am more inclined to believe it was us. We knew exactly what they were doing and secured our position in the sect. Oh, do not think that the Banu Hakim were innocent in destroying the Tremere. Someone slipped the Inquisition the exact location of the Tremere sanctuary in the capital. I have a basic idea that she will be a ministry socialite fixer, so someone who essentially mingles with the high and mighty and gives them whatever they need, whether it be drugs, weapons, other illicit goods. Honestly, let's be real here, prostitutes, whatever they want, she will supply them with. That's the basic idea. We'll get into more the meat and bones of this character as we move on. I bow to the strategists amongst the warriors. We always consider them murderous fanatics, but lacking in nuance. It appears they play the jihad better than anyone. So now we know essentially why the ministry is with the Anarchs. They blew up. They were blamed for the destruction of several Justicars of the Camarilla, so with nowhere else to turn, they became Anarchs. So, the ministry... Let's see if I can get to the actual part of it. Because we need to read up a little bit about the ministry before we make a character, because they've changed significantly since they were the followers of Set, which is a sect that you can belong to these days, but you don't necessarily belong to them anymore. We'll get to that. So hopefully no one's gonna get on my case for reading this out loud, but I think we all need to be on the same page before we start character generation. The Clan of Faith, Setites, followers of Set. The Clan of Lies, Typhonists, Serpents, Liberators, Judacians. So Typhonists, in case you watched my latest video on the followers of Set, that is one of the more common subsects or cover-ups for their cult that was created during the Roman era. Essentially combining Bacchus, Mars, and Saturn, was it? I believe. The Banu Hakim, they really wanted to be part of the Camarilla. Let's just leave it at that. They also not big fans of each other, the followers of Set and the Banu Hakim, or the ministry. They don't like each other anymore. They never really did. Tracing their lineage from the Egyptian would-be god of deception and chaos, the clan formerly known as the followers of Set has a reputation as motley as their history. As much clan as cult, or cult as clan, most of the ministry adheres to a uniquely disruptive system of beliefs, fighting a war of morality and ideas against the legacy of Ra and the one god. Known and abhorred as tricksters, enticers, and outright liars, the clan has had a history of playing all sides in conflicts of this great sect. Their entry to the Camarilla rejected, many have joined the Anarch movement and are now arming their twin weapons of temptation and subversion to bring spiritual liberation to all descendants of Cain. We are making her right now. So I had a poll on my Twitter basically saying, we're making a character, what clan does she belong to and what is her profession? And the winner was Ministry Socialite Fixer. So she... essentially provides the high and mighty with whatever they want. So tell me about what you call the rebrands. It's not just me, it's a whole bunch. This is just a conversation. You know what? I will actually move on to character creation. I think reading all this is going to be a little bit too long. We can go on with the concept. Essentially, the Banu Hakim have embraced a more sin-focused aspect to their clan. So what we can say is followers set used to be that they were all working towards this one common goal, which was bringing about Gehenna in a sense, although not every member knew this. They were essentially following Set's teachings. These days, they are much more diverse in what they do, and the main core concept of the clan is to embrace sin in all its form. Liberation through sin, like conventional norms, essentially embracing all the forbidden aspects of humanity or vampirism because it is what makes us alive, and to subvert them. I just bit my tongue. They subvert them to open their inner eye, in a sense. So we have some archetypes here. We have Faith Healer, Lifetime Fraud, Conspiracy Debunker, Mouth of the Gods, Entrepreneurial Archaeologist. None of these apply for us. The disciplines Obfuscate, Presence, Protean, Bane. We'll get back to this later. Let's get started with character creation. So, Okay, let's get the rule book out and go to... So one of my complaints about V5 is that it is a little bit hard to find your way around the book. And a lot of times the editing could do... It's not the best. It's not bad. It's not Wrath and Glory level bad. Thank God for the new PDF for that. But it's sometimes a little bit difficult to find your way. So I'm gonna not read everything that's in the book, but rather talk about my own views, because this is gonna be character creation out of how I usually make a character. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of person she is. Was she a pusher or a fixer before she was embraced? It's a little clunky, yeah. I would say that she wasn't. I would say that she was probably not from the rich aspect. She was not a socialite when she was immortal. Rather, I would say that she was probably in those spheres. She was moving in those spheres. She might have been a call girl, or she could have been perhaps the sibling of someone who's doing that, or working as a bartender or security, or she could have been a journalist investigating these kind of things. Like, she was in the periphery of these kind of things. And once she got embraced, you got a meowing cat over there. Once she got embraced, she was taught to use these skills and knowledges that she had to kind of mingle. Like club host. Club host would be a perfect thing that she was doing. Like, she was in the periphery. But now she's embraced the fact that she knows how these people work. She knows what they want. She can provide it via her contacts in her clans and contacts she's made as a hostess. And she also has given up a little bit about her moral obligations. She was probably exploited and used quite a bit, being in a low tier hostess, club host. She was probably never... She didn't have much control over what her guests were or what her facilities were used for. A lot of times she was given money to shut up about shady stuff that was going on. So she probably has quite a built up resentment towards these kind of people. And she's a fixer, but she also indebts people to her. She wants them to be indebted and snared. So she's kind of like a spider in the web, in the sense that she wants people to feel indebted to her, that they're reliant on her, that they need her. So now we have a fairly... all right, Huddy, see you in a little bit, hopefully. Good luck with your dog. So now we have a basic idea of what kind of character we want to make. Where are you? Little screamy cat. I don't know if you can hear him in the background. Victor is being whiny. So that was her life. She often felt like she'd achieved certain level of success in the sense that she had her own club, but she was, as soon as she got there and as soon as honeymoon was over, she realized she was still way low in the pecking order. So she never felt she had control of her life. Even though she got as far as she did as a mortal, it was not nearly enough. And now she's kind of finally breaking free of that and making things on her own terms. She's a very manipulative person. She doesn't consider a lot of these people human in the way that they often don't have any moral issues with mistreating people or abusing people. And stop screaming. Sorry. Yeah, she's essentially decided not to have any of that anymore. We got a clan, so we got a clan. She's a ministry. We got to decide on her sire. We are just not going to write that down for now. Her sire essentially, I believe her sire saw this in her. This was a good, or rather an embrace that she accepted. She was offered it. It was not her boss who kept her in chains or anything like that. Essentially, a guest of her boss turned out to be a Setite, and he saw in this character the seed of greater ability, and he wanted her to join him in this. We don't have a nationality yet. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should make her Swedish and have her be in the Stockholm by Night campaign setting that I'm working on, but so far we'll just leave it like this. Also, Fat to Matt, who's in the chat right now, designed these sheets. Very, very well made. sheet. You can fill it out. I really like your choice of font here, and great is red text. So we got that settled. Sire, she's got an amicable relationship with her sire. Going against all kinds of trends and saying they get along. He taught her a lot, but she's testing her wings now. She's on a sabbatical in a sense that he's basically letting her have a couple of years to show what she can do. So we got the music playing down here in the corner. So mad props to Fat to Mad for making the sheet. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it. We're going to give her the attributes. Now, if you're familiar with the old system was kind of different from this. You had strength, dexterity, stamina, charisma, manipulation, appearance, intelligence, wits, and perception. Yeah, that was a bit of a stupid joke on my end. Sorry about that. There's also a lot of people watching, so I'm getting a little nervous. Now, they've gotten rid of appearance. That's now a merit that you can buy for points. And they got rid of perception, which is now instead wits. Awareness is now your perception rolls. So this is going to be new if you're coming in from V20 or revised or earlier. It's kind of similar to Requiem in the sense that composure is your ability to keep calm in stressful situations, and your resolve is your ability to see things through if you are tested. Essentially, it's kind of like your willpower. Your willpower is your composure and resolve together. So let's start with the stats. It used to be that you had one free dot and everything, and then you just put out more dots. It's no longer like that. You get no free dots in anything. Instead, you get one attribute at 4, 3 attributes at 3, 4 at 2, and 1 at 1. Now, this is an array. We were mentioning this a bit earlier on, and I think the array system is a good idea. And I will talk more about that when I get into skills, because that's where I think it really shines. Attributes, perhaps not so much, but I don't generally think it's a great idea to have a character start with 5 dots in anything, unless there's this very specific reason for that. We'll get into it with skills, but let's see. 1 with 4. Obviously, I am going to give her... I'm going to give her... Actually, let's read up a little bit, because I always tend to have a difficult time explaining resolve. So let's read how they describe that. Let's see here. Let's find resolve. Oh. Now I have a cat on my keyboard, so he's flinching every time I press a button, because it's getting his fur into my keys. And that is entirely your fault, Victor. Let me see here. Composure. Your composure allows you to remain calm, to command your emotions, and to put others at ease despite anxiety. It also represents your ability to stay cool in everything from firefights to intimate encounters. I want to make her a little bit different. Charisma would be a good choice, and manipulation, but I want her to be a person who has gone through a lot of shit and has come out shining and smelling like daisies. So, Resolve provides focus and determination and measures concentration and mental fortitude. Resolve powers all night watches and blocks out distractions. I'm going to say she has Composure 4. Oh, thank you, Kinley. Yes, Fat to Mad, could you link the sheets in the chat? And if you can't, I will try to do that. But for now, I need to... I'm a one-man show, so any help I can get is very much appreciated. Let's see here. Let's go back to character creation. I'm going to say that she has Composure 4. Like, no matter what happens, she's going to just run with it. She will flow with it. She's a very calm and collected person. I can actually... This is the fillable sheet. Let me get that here. This is the fillable sheet. And let me see. These are in English. I think you also link the German ones. So if anyone wants the German ones, let me know. Did I link the same one twice? Or, sorry. I think those are the sheets. So Composure 4. Oh, and that's very high. Oh, they don't actually show up. That's interesting. I don't... That's weird that you can't post those links. But I posted them right now. Sorry about that. Oh, I'll post the German ones as well. Let's see, copy links. These are the German sheets. Again, mad props to Fat2Mad for providing these great sheets. Oh, it's private translation. Do you want me to remove them? I can remove them. Sorry. I'll remove. Sorry. I can repost them again if you're okay with it, but sorry. We have not done a name yet, Bambi. I will do that soon. Oh, okay, I guess you got them anyway, Ice Phoenix. Glad you got them. We'll get to the name later. I almost always... okay, I'll post them then. I almost always wait until I have a really good character idea before I make the name. Names I usually make the last. I will... Which one did I link now? Did I link the... Sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place. I will try to keep my eyes on the chat. Yeah, they are subject to change. So the German version is obviously not the final version, and the English version can be changed as well. It's a side project that Fat2Mad is making, so I think it's a really good one. So let's see here. 3 attributes, it's 3. Now these, I'm gonna put the character sheet here at first. Charisma, 3. Manipulation, 3. Resolve, 3. And then we get 4 at 2. So she's actually, no, let's go intelligence 3. And then we go wits 2. No, wits 3. Even wits 3. So we got those 2. Stamina 2. Dexterity 2. Gonna be dump statting our strength. She's not a fighter. No, don't worry, Bambi. I haven't been very vocal about things. We're currently giving her attributes, so we end... Oh, another big change from previous editions is that you can now distribute these points however you want. It used to be that you had 7, 5, 3. So you would give, you say like, okay, I'm gonna have physical traits or physical attributes at my priority. So they're gonna be 7 dots handed out in physical. Then mental as my second, so that would be 5 dots in mental, and social my third, so that would be 3 dots. Now you get 1 attribute of your choice at 4, 3 of them at 3, 4 of them at 2, and 1 of them at 1, regardless of where you want to put them. So that's an interesting thing. I think they still keep them as physical, social, and mental to show you what they mean, but they don't have the same importance anymore as they used to have. And yeah, that's also, I should probably explain how these work. So essentially, these are your dice pools. Each dot will represent 1 die or dice. I think it's dice, 1 die when it's a singular. Sorry, not a native English speaker, so I'm not super great with the plurals of things. Let me see here. Yes, so if you have strength 1, it means you have 1 of these. You will never roll a single stat. You might roll a single stat twice, depending on what your storyteller asks for you. But these, every little pip that I'm filling out is 1 of these. It's a very easy system to use. Also, another interesting thing to keep in mind is that a average stat is 2. So dexterity and stamina, resolve and intelligence are all average. Hi Harry, how you doing? That's Salubricat. Welcome to the stream. 3 is good. 4 is very good. 5 is extremely good. It is the mortal peak. If you're a human, you cannot have higher than 5 in an attribute or a skill. I would really want to have a good explanation for why I would allow any of my players' characters to have an attribute at 5 points. And the reason for that is that you are very, very exceptional if you have 5 dots in anything. And I think it's better reflected in this system because it's even more expensive in terms of experience points. And therefore... this game kind of goes, all right, 4 is really high. We're going to give you a 4 because you are exceptional. Having 4 in something is... Not every mortal has 4 in something. Most people have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, possibly a 3 or 2. 1 or 2 3s. But you are an exceptional person. You have 4 in a stat, 4 in an attribute. You have attributes and skills. They used to be called abilities, and then they would be divided even further. Very confusing, I know. So now they're all just called skills. They're still divided into three rows, or no, not rows. The 3 pillars, or whatever you want to call them, which used to be how they were divided before. There were some special things about it, like your mental skills, or your I believe these were called skills actually. They could not be used if you didn't have any dots in them, because these are things that wouldn't come natural to a person. Like, nobody would automatically know occult information if they hadn't studied it. The middle pillar, these would be things that you could practice. Nobody would, for example, be very good at performance, but you could be naturally gifted at it, for example. But with training, you could get better. And then finally, the physical ones would be very natural things. Firearms, I think, was in the other one at that time, and as was craft, and drive. So these don't match up to that old idea anymore at all. But it used to be like brawl, for example, like anyone could fight. This would be an instinctual thing in a human being. Anyone could perceive, like awareness would be listed in this as well. And stealth would be the other one, but lying, like subterfuge, would be in this one as well. Talents, skills, and knowledge. Exactly, thank you. Talents is something you would know essentially by nature. Skills is something you would acquire, but you could acquire from other people or by observing others. And finally, knowledge is you would have to study. It was something you couldn't pick up naturally. This system, it's completely done away with. So now you just pick points. It's another array. So if you're not a fan of arrays, sorry, that's how V5 rolls. Before we continue with that though, health is your stamina +3, and your willpower is your composure and resolve. Willpower was almost never rolled. Back when I used to play Vampire, it was a very rare thing to do because it allowed you 1 extra die, essentially. So a lot of times you wanted to keep your willpower. Thank you so much, Onion Kid. I'm very happy that my English is okay. Willpower didn't used to give that huge of a bonus. These days you can re-roll up to 3 dice with your willpower. 1 willpower point. Very useful. So your willpower is your composure plus resolve, and your health is your stamina +3. I'm gonna wait with filling these out because who knows, my stamina might change, my willpower, my composure and resolve might change. We'll get to that. Oh, thank you, Erlas. That's really nice of you folks to say, but it's fine to correct me. Do correct me if I say something weird, because on my YouTube channel, I should be able to communicate appropriately. So correct me if I say something wrong. Now then, they have 3 different arrays for your skills. There's Jack of all trades, there's balanced, and there's specialist. And it used to be you had 13, 9, and 7 points to put out. 13 pips for 1 column. Column, that's the word. 9 pips for another column, and 7 pips or dots for the tertiary column. Not anymore. Now you get 1 skill at 3, 8 skills at 2, and 10 skills at 1 if you're a Jack of all trades. If you're a specialist, you'll get 1 skill at 4, 3 skills at 3, 3 skills at 2, and 3 skills at 1. Now, the terminology here, yes, exactly, Brazen, thank you very much, it's columns. Essentially, what they're doing here is subtly telling you that if you want to play a specialist or someone who's very good at a limited amount of things, there is a way to play that. A lot of people would be essentially, a lot of people might pull points into 1 single skill or a couple of skills if they wanted to play a very combat-y character, or if they wanted to play a very deceptive kind of character. This game forces you to distribute your points more evenly, which I think is a good way of doing it, because Vampire is, of course, entirely depending on how you want to play it. Vampire is a game that can present challenges in many, many different ways and should potentially do that. So having all your skill points in 1 single area is going to be very detrimental to you. If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and you're not a very manipulative person, that's not always going to be a huge problem. But in the world of vampires, it's definitely going to be a problem if you're trying to earn reputation amongst vampires. Thank you, Bambi. That's really nice of you to say. I think we're going to go with a Jack of all trades. This is a kind of person who's had to adapt to a multitude of situations during her life, both as a host and then further as a ministry member. So she's gonna have 1 skill at 3, 8 skills at 2, and 10 skills at 1. And maybe I should go with a specialist, actually, now that I think about it. No, you know what? I'm going to go with a specialist. I've never made it a character that way. So she's going to have 1 skill at 4, which means she's a very, very good person at this skill. 4 is incredibly good. 3 at 3, 3 at 2, and 3 at 1. To give you a sense of understanding, if you have 1 dot in something, that means you've done it a little bit more. You've done it a few times, you know enough to get by. If you have 2 dots, it's something you do regularly. Like, I could perhaps have 2 dots in video editing. I'm not great at video editing, but I've done it enough to know my way around software, for example. 3 dots, I could probably edit for other people on YouTube. I can do it fast, I can do it efficiently. 4 dots, I am fairly well known in the community, depending on the size of the community. If I'm editing vampire lore videos, I would have 4 dots. If I had 4 dots, I would be well known amongst people watching vampire videos because I make cool edits for vampire. 5 dots, I would be the Avicii of video editing on YouTube, if you understand what I mean. So having 4 and 5 dots, it's definitely something you do professionally. That's also got to be said. If you have 3 dots in something, you could do it professionally. 4 dots, you bet your ass you're doing it professionally. This is something you do almost every single day. Yes, exactly. 3 dots, you could get away with being a professional with 3 dots. You could be, 3 dots is not bad. 4 dots, it's for sure a profession. So, we're gonna go with 1 thing at 4 dots. Let's see here. Yeah, 5 dots is an Academy Award-winning work. Outstar has 5 dots. Yeah, she's pretty huge. So I would say she's somewhere around 4 or 5 dots for sure. Let me see here. But yeah, 5 dots is like, I don't like, it would be very famous person. Okay, so what's she gonna have her 4 dots in? I think she's gonna have her 4 dots in persuasion. She's very good at convincing other. Or would she? Let's look through things here. Athletics, brawl, craft, drive, firearms, larceny, melee, stealth, survival. Animal can etiquette, insight, intimidation. So I'm gonna put out 4 dots in a couple of these skills, and then we're gonna go through what they actually are. So insight, intimidation, leadership. I'm gonna put 4 dots here. One of these is gonna have 4 dots by the end of it. But this is my way of creating a character. Is I first pick out, okay, which ones are going to be the high tier ones, and then I'm going to try to logic my way through which one of these is going to be it. Then the rest of them are probably going to be like tier 2, you know, the 3 dots, and so forth. So subterfuge, obviously also going to be up there. Let's see here. Streetwise, for sure. She knows how to get the stuff. Streetwise, we're going to go through these skills later. I would say that is it for what I would consider giving a 4. So, pattern spider help. Yeah. Maybe no, she wouldn't have 4 dots in politics. Survival, that's an interesting choice. Let's go look at the skills and what they actually do. So, we're gonna go to social skills. And did we take any physical skills? No, we did not a single physical. So let's go to social. Ooh, who are the Banu Hakim? Let's see here. So we got ourselves insight. Insight grants you the ability to interpret body language, note subtle cues in expression and tone, and determine truth from lies. It also allows you to perceive and understand the motives behind another's actions. You can see straight through hollow boasts. You pick up on the hidden emotions between humans and even kindred. At 4, you are an undead lie detector. Only the best con artists can slip one by you. So you can see now why I would pick this one. Etiquette, that's another good one. I don't think I would consider her having a potentially 4 in etiquette, but it is a good choice. Yeah, it's the old empathy skill, essentially, insight. Insight is very, very useful on this character if she wants to find out what people want, and if she wants to find out what people are hiding from her. I'd like to consider her also someone who sells information on the side. if she can get away with it. That's not her top priority, but she would definitely be the kind of person who sells information. So insight is it's ministry. She's always been ministry. And she's the best con artist. Did I say she's Banu Hakim? I think I picked ministry, didn't I? Yeah, there you go. It's been there all the time. So insight, definitely gonna have that one. Leadership. I did talk about leadership, and the reason for that is she's running a business. Probably not enough to have 4 dots, but I figured it's worth mentioning. Leadership grants you the ability to lead a crowd, command a detachment, boost the morale of your supporters, or subdue a riot. A strong prince or baron must possess leadership or risk losing their throne. 4 dots. You can inspire the injured and dying to action so long as you are there to lead them. No, that is not enough. So we're going to lower her to 3 dots. She goes to the next tier with leadership. And then we'll keep on going. Persuasion. Use persuasion when trying to convince others that you know what's best for them, and that one bite won't hurt at all. Skilled persuaders can play on victims' emotions and appeal to peers' reason. Persuasion applies in law courts and princely courts, in boardrooms, barrooms, and bedrooms. Now, the reason I wouldn't want to give her 4 in persuasion is because she's not actually forcing people to take what she's offering. She's not pushing on people, she's fixing for people. That way, she doesn't need to convince anyone that what she's selling is good. They should know that what she's selling is good. So persuasion, she's not actually the kind of person who does that. So I'm going to lower persuasion to 3 and go on to streetwise. I'm lowering it to 3 right now. Might be lowered even more. Streetwise is Streetwise enables characters to talk the language and negotiate the societies of the streets and the underworld. You can understand code words and slang, interpret graffiti tags, and emulate gang signs. Now, she'd have a little bit of this because she needs to know where to get the stuff, but I really don't think she'd be at 4. I don't think, like, for a fixer, she's getting what people want. I don't think that requires persuasion. If anything, it's either... definitely higher perhaps in subterfuge, but insight to know actually what people need, to understand people's needs before they actually express them. She can kind of figure out what people want and what drives them and supply it for them. Sorry about that. Streetwise, we're gonna pop that down to tier 2 actually right away. Subterfuge. Subterfuge. It's the art of lying convincingly, spinning a yarn, and making good excuses for bad actions. This skill defines your talent for intrigue, secrets, and double dealing. Subterfuge can also be used for seduction and imitating mortal behavior. Now, this is something I'm going to lower to tier 3 right away. If we go to tier 4, you can operate endlessly in deep cover, a perfect double agent. Perhaps you are. I'd like her to be good at lying, but she is not a double agent. She's obviously keeping her own motivations close to heart, and she does deeply loathe the kind of community that she spends so much of her adult life in, but she's not there to spy on people as much as she's there to provide what they need and occasionally sell their information if there's a profit in it and a low risk affair. So now we've gone through these, and I think that insight is going to be what I'm going to put 4 dots in. Because I believe that the fixer who can predict what her clients want is someone who's going to make it pretty far. Like you see here, her specialties could be ambitions, desires, detect lies, emotions, empathy, interrogation, motives, phobias, and vices. So vices and desires right away. If she's good at fixing what people want, then that's good for me. Well, why ministry? She was recruited, Vios. I think I mentioned that before you joined. She was recruited because she essentially was a small-time club host. The people she owed money to buy this club and to staff it and to interior decorate it, they essentially used her as a mule. They used her location, they used her employees, they used her as a tool, as a meeting place, as some place to store their stuff. And one of the guests of this owner turned out to be a ministry member, and he saw the potential in her. So he embraced her. I would say she's anarch, not entirely out of choice, but mostly because of the freedom it gives her. She kind of does not like to be working under anyone else right now. She wants to be her own person. She wants to own herself and her own activities. So she chafes under the idea of the ivory tower because they want to keep strict control of her. She doesn't really want to get involved in vampire politics, so she's fairly young. And it was also a Twitter vote. That's why she's ministry, by the way. It was voted on Twitter. So I'm working with the socialite fixer concept for a ministry member. So we're going to go on to tier 3, which is going to be 3 skills. So athletics, no. Brawl, no. Craft, no. Drive, no. Firearms, no. Larceny, no. Melee, no. Stealth, no. Survival, no. Animal can, etiquette. I'm going to put 3 etiquette here. Probably going to lower that, but she's pretty smooth. We got leadership. I'm going to say intimidation. Going to put 3 dots in that. Sorry, pardon me. Leadership, going to keep 3 dots there for now. Persuasion, yeah. Subterfuge, yes. Academics, awareness, finance, investigation, medicine. Yeah, Demo, you're saying medicine for sure. I think that's going to be 1 or 2 points. She doesn't actually make the stuff herself. She buys them or have people providing it for her. Larceny is more of breaking into cars. And let me see. We can actually go to larceny here and check it out. Breaking into cars, breaking into houses, stealing stuff. She's not really doing that so much. Entails familiarity with the tools and techniques for picking locks, planting bugs, deactivating standard burglar and car alarms, manual forgery, hot wiring automobiles, and even safe cracking, as well as countless forms of breaking and entering. That's not really her MO, I feel. She's not a criminal in that regard. Investigation, I think we can put up here for 3 dots, because she likes to know about her clients. So, medicine, she might get a dot in it as well, but she really just provides the stuff. She's not the producer. She should know enough to keep people from ODing, obviously, but I think 1 dot in medicine should hopefully be enough for that. Politics, it's gonna be a tier 2 if even that. That is a good idea, actually. Faceless Deviant, that is good. I think, yeah. Yeah, she is a criminal, but she's not the criminal who breaks into cars. That's not her MO. Acquire personal information. Yeah, I would say medicine 2 dots for now. We'll get into that later. Larceny, she might get 1 dot in that at most, but she planting bugs potentially. But investigation and medicine, I feel those are correct. Politics, I'm going to get 2 dots in here right now. I'm not sold on that, but if she's aware of the politics in the city, she might be good at picking or avoiding certain clients. Science and technology is not really her gig. So, yes, Telemundo, this is going to go up on my stream, on my YouTube, I mean. It goes up right away. It saves. It takes a little while for it to re-render everything, but yes, it is going to go up again later on, so I will absolutely share that with you. I will post about it on my on my community post as well, because streams tend to disappear a little bit after they've been run. It's still hard to find them, so I'm gonna promote this. So finance finance is good, but I'm gonna say 2 dots in there for now. It's not gonna be 3 dots. Now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is 1 skill too many, because we're going with a specialist here. Remember, we picked specialist, so that means we only get 10 skills. Charisma is not one of these things. It's one of her attributes. We already covered that. Her charisma is 3 dots. Her composure is 4 dots. She's certainly charismatic and manipulative. Charisma 3, manipulation 3, but she's composed. She's calm, collected. I'd say she's an honest thief. Like, she's an honest criminal in the sense that she tries to steer clear from the street, so to speak. So she's probably the kind of person who wouldn't oversee a drug transaction. Rather, she'd be buying it from a very reliable source, if that makes any sense. So now we got to pick 3 of these to be at 3. So I'm going to say etiquette is not going to make it. She's okay, but she's not... Well, she does hang in high society now that you mention it. Let's go look at etiquette. You know the rules of etiquette in each of the domains popular in iSpots. You impress others with your command of politeness, deference, and grace. I would say that chemistry is medicine in the sense of making drugs. Science would be chemistry in the sense of, I don't know. Actually, no. Fuck. I think medicine is making, science is making drugs. Medicine is understanding the drug's effect on a human body, I would say. So that makes sense. All right. Not entirely not sold on etiquette yet, so we'll keep that on number 3. Intimidation, we're lowering that one. She's not too intimidating, but she can scare people, potentially. Leadership, we're going to lower that one as well. She runs her own business, but I don't consider her a person who's very good at leading a lot of people. She runs a small business. Maybe she even just has like a... maybe she's like a caterer to people, essentially. Leadership, your voice makes itself heard in council, and even your superiors sometimes listen. I think that's a suitable description of her. Your voice makes itself heard in council, and even your superiors sometimes listen. That's about as much leadership as I want her to have. Intimidation, you can push your way around most humans without difficulty. Yeah, that makes sense. Might even go for 1. You can cut a scathing insult effectively. Persuasion. 3 persuasion. You can always figure out a compromise in a given conflict. Yes, I believe that's a good level of persuasion, because she occasionally has to deal with problematic customers. Yeah, no, she's not. She's no Tony Montana, that's for sure. She's not that hands-on with her business. Yeah, she's good at calming people down, at keeping things easy. Yeah, Bending Rodriguez is a chef, and she's a caterer. She caters to needs. I think that's suitable enough. Subterfuge. Should we have that at 3? You can operate on multiple levels, telling lies intended to be uncovered to bolster other lies. I like that description. I'm going to say yes. These are going to be her 3 stats. Etiquette, persuasion, subterfuge. Which means that investigation drops down to tier 2 dots. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these skills at 2 dots. Obviously isn't going to work because we can only have 3 of them. So let's go through them one more time. Intimidation, I'm going to say 1 dot. She's not great at scaring people, and I think if she had been better at it, maybe she wouldn't have been pushed around so much. She's not really into the whole scaring people. It doesn't really mesh, but sometimes she got to tell people off. So 1 dot in intimidation. Gonna keep leadership at 2. Gonna keep streetwise potentially at 2. Medicine we're gonna lower to 1. Politics are gonna lower to 1. So now we have leadership, streetwise, finance, and investigation at 2 dots. Yeah, exactly. Fatumad, you're bringing up a really good point. It used to be that skills were very rigidly aligned with certain attributes. So what that means is that, for example, intelligence would always be combined with science, potentially wits as well at times. But these days, science and charisma could be used to sell a scientific idea, for example. So it's much more loosey-goosey with how you mix your attributes and your skills these days. So I'm gonna lower her investigation to 1 dot. Finance to 1 dot. She knows enough. She has a bookkeeper. She knows enough finance to keep tabs on her receipts. But she does have a bookkeeper, probably someone on the down low, someone on the inside. I'm imagining that her sire is providing her with this, with this service. So that means that we're going with leadership, streetwise, investigation for her 2 dots. And now we are going to put out the 3 1 dots, which is intimidation, finance, medicine, and politics. And I am going to remove politics from that. I think she gets by not knowing too much. Like, she will probably have her investigation skill can find out what she needs. Let me actually go read up on investigation for a little bit. Allows you to unravel cases of mundane and mysterious means, spot clues, interpret them, and trace missing persons. Vampires find this skill especially useful when vessels escape. Actually, this is completely different from how investigation used to be. Well, not completely, but investigation used to have much more different meanings. So I'm removing that and putting 2 dots into awareness instead. Amateur sports bookie. That's up to you, man. Drug pusher. She's not a pusher. She's a fixer. She hangs out with social people and she gives them what they need. To do that, you don't need to convince someone. You don't need to convince rich people to buy drugs off of you. You just say, I have what you need. What do you need? And they will gladly tell you what you need. So I'm going to put 1 dot into investigation. And she doesn't have any dots in awareness. About 2 dots in awareness, because we kind of skipped on that one. She doesn't have any fighting skills, but that's fine. No academics. Awareness. Drive. She should have a dot in drive, that's sure. She has a driver. She lives in the city. Who needs a car? She can just get an Uber if she needs it. But she should probably have drive. You're right. See, this is the problem. When you're making a specialist, you have very limited options in what you can put your points into. She can't be a drug pusher. She's not a pusher. She's a fixer. They come to her. She doesn't go to them. She's not working in a street corner. She's going to high class fancy parties. So she's a high tier drug supplier, a caterer. She's not standing in a street corner pushing drugs. And I think. Sorry, Dorothy Joel, I would love to give you feedback on your character concept right now, but unfortunately, I don't want to distract myself too much from what I'm doing, because then I'm going to be here all night. Maybe make her balanced, but we wanted to go with specialist. Oof. You guys are killing me here. But how's the split when you make it a balanced one? 3 skills at 3, 5 skills at 2, 7 skills at 1. So that's 3, 8, 15. That's a lot more than this. Now let's go with that one. 3 at 3. 3 at 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to give insight 3. And we're going to do etiquette 2. So 3 at 3. Insight 3. Persuasion 3. Subterfuge 3. And 5 skills at 2. Well, this is much easier. We got etiquette, leadership, streetwise, awareness, and politics. There you go. And then how many at 1? 8 at 1, right? 7 skills at 1. So we got 1. We got finance, medicine at 1. Intimidation at 1. That's 3. So 4 more. Why didn't we go balanced, y'all? This was so much easier. Let's go drive. And I'll give her a point of larceny for you, Paladin demo. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to get a dot in investigation anyway. That's 6. And she's going to get... How about a dot in melee? No, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, She gets a dot in occult because of some of her teaching from her sire, he was pretty traditional. He used to be follower of Set, but he was totally behind this whole rebranding idea. But she's been studying under him. She hasn't been a vampire for too long, and she wants to actively avoid the vampire community. Survival feels like something. Survival is used a lot for like when you're in an exposed environment, and she would probably never try to find herself in there. I'm actually thinking a dot in firearms, because she'd taken lessons to help protect herself. She carries a Derringer in her purse. How about that? She carries a Derringer in her purse. So, all right, cool, Darth, Joel. No, yeah, I'm referring to larceny. In terms of getting a dot in that. She is getting a dot in drive, firearms, and larceny. Now this is looking a lot better. So finance, investigation, medicine, intimidation, drive, firearms, and larceny, 1 dot each. Etiquette, leadership, streetwise, politics, and awareness, 2 dots. Insight, persuasion, and subterfuge, 3 dots. That's great. It's a good array. Good split. So let's go on. What comes after that? Let's see here. We've done skills, so now we get a free specialty to academics, craft, performance, and science, none of which she has any dots in. So no specialties there. I'm fairly sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure that you don't get any specialties in a skill you don't have any dots in. Yeah, that's a good argument, Fatu Mad, that 0 dots does not necessarily mean you're absolutely incompetent at something anymore. That used to be the case in your knowledge skills. You would get a pretty hefty minus for that. I don't think that is that way anymore. Again, if someone in the chat could correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I don't think you get specialties in skills that you don't have any points in. But if we do, I'll go put those in. But one more free specialty, and I am gonna say vices in insight. She gets what people want. She understands what gets them going. Hi Meg, how you doing? Languages is a merit in this system. It's no longer a skill. So let's see here. Sorry, there's probably a huge lag, so my reply is presumably very late. 2 clan disciplines. Put 2 dots in one and 1 dot in another. So we have presence, obfuscate, and protean. So presence. Eye of the serpent. The eyes of the vampire turns into slitted serpent-like orbs, able to freeze. Sorry, my voice is kind of going a little bit because I was making orc voices when we were doing D&D. Okay, this ability allows her to immobilize someone, but she would need a dot of protean to do that. Charisma plus presence versus wits composure. I really, really, really like this. What the hell is this? Oh yeah. Interesting. There are a lot of cool stuff in the V5 books that I don't remember so much. All right, yeah, Meg. We are doing a Setite or a ministry member. She used to be a club host. She actually started out as a hostess working at a club. She worked her way up into buying and basically making her own club. It didn't go as well as she hoped, so she'd have to rely on borrowing money from some fairly shady people, essentially giving them an in to use her club for whatever they wanted. These shady people would often hold fairly high-level, high-class parties of very doubtful legality. She'd grown to kind of hate that because she was powerless. Her staff, she, as well as her locale, was used and abused for whatever they felt like doing. And if she threatened to go to the police, they'd essentially hold it over her. So she was extremely powerless until a guest of her, I guess you could say the owner of her club at this point, saw the potential in her, embraced her, bought out the club. I wanted her to own the club. So the club was bought out and given to her, or rather she owes her sire the club. We'll have to figure that one out. But it's no longer being used against her. It's her own club, so she's essentially finally able to be in charge of herself, if that makes sense. So she's kind of getting to know her new nature as a vampire. She's kind of learning to leave her old morality behind. She's kind of trying to embrace bravery, self-confidence, and essentially a dog-eat-dog world. So she's learning to mingle in the bad parts of human society, which is also what her sire told her to do, so at some point she could level up to vampire society, which is human society times 10, you know. So she's essentially getting used to being a predator rather than being a prey. So that's what we're starting out with. So we're gonna do the disciplines, and Anarchs get, Ministry get Obfuscate, Presence, Protean. Protean at level 1. What does that give us to work with? Let me see here. Disciplines, Protean. Because I kind of want the eyes for presence, but I don't really know what to do with. Protean. Let's see. Eyes of the Beast. The vampire can will a supernatural red gleam into their eyes, giving them sight even in the total absence of light. It's useful, but maybe not super useful for this character. All of this one, the vampire can weight of the feather. The vampire can reduce their effective mass and density, making themselves almost weightless. This allows them to avoid triggering pressure sensors, as well as avoiding major damage from falls, collisions, or being thrown. The power cannot be used for longer leaps, as the vampire's strength is proportionally reduced. Yeah, she's only a few years old, this vampire. She's definitely a neonate at best, potentially even a fledgling. But yes, Fat to Mad, I'm definitely, I want to go with the eye. And I really like this discipline, Weight of the Feather. I like this because this essentially provides her with a way to easily escape many situations. She can just throw herself off a rooftop or out a window just in case something goes plum-shaped. So yeah, we're going to get Protean level 1 and Weight of the Feather. And that's because then I can also get the Presence Amalgam power. I really want that one. So, disciplines. Weight of the Feather. Oof, that's... Oh no, sorry. There we go. Ability name. Discipline Protean. It's level 1, and it's on page 270. So again, if you're just joining us, this custom sheet was made by Fat to Mad. I will include a link to it in the description of this video. Pear-shaped. Sorry. Did I say plum-shaped? I meant pear-shaped. No, wait. Plum-shaped. Well, if it goes really bad is what I'm meaning. This has cost to it, I believe. It's free. Oh, nice. Dice pool is wits plus survival. Oh, boy. That's a really strange dice pool, though, gotta say. Wits plus survival. What's the difficulty level? If the vampire has time to prepare, no roll is required. As a reaction, such as during a sudden fall, activating the power requires wits survival at difficulty 3. Alright, that makes more sense. I'm not gonna get her a point of survival, but that's definitely something I'll look into getting with experience points. Because I don't think she completely understands the requirements right now of this. So I'm just gonna do serve so we get it all on one page. So with survival and no, sorry, Fats to Med, your sheet is amazing and I'm just not reading it close enough. Versus difficulty 3 as the difficulty. Duration. Yeah, it's separate field. You're absolutely right. I should have read closer. It's 1C. Perfect. So, this is a useful ability. And now we're going to get into the amalgams. So, Ice Phoenix, you're already raising a good question. That's absolutely right. To use Eyes of the Serpent, we will need level 1 of Protean. but it can be any level 1 Protean, basically. It doesn't say that it has to be a specific one, and it only costs 1 point. I feel like I should explain how disciplines work now, because they're very different from how they used to be. In the older systems, each time you bought a dot in your discipline, you would be able to do a thing on that level. So if you had 2 dots in Auspex, you could increase your senses, boost your senses, and you could read auras. I believe those were the level 1 and 2. It's not the same in V5 in the sense that each level of a discipline, with some exceptions, offer you multiple choices. Level 1 Protean is Eyes of the Beast or Weight of the Feather. So either one of those. For 1 point, I can pick either one of those. Just one. Serpentis is not around anymore. It got melded into Protean. Multiple reasons for this. I think the main reason is that they wanted to balance power. They didn't want to overwhelm the players with too many disciplines, and they wanted to get rid of clan-specific disciplines. I don't think there is a single discipline that's clan-specific right now. Oblivion, which is used. Oblivion is used by La Sombra and Hecata. Protean is used by Gangrel and Ministry. I think that's about it. I know that Dementation has been folded into Presence, I believe, or is it? Yeah, it's Presence or Dominate. Essentially, yeah, it's a huge folding disciplines into others. I don't think that's lame. I think it's easier for newer players by far. Thaumaturgy is blood sorcery is still its own. It's still being used by Ban Hakim and Tremere. So, it's Dominate. You're right. Thank you very much. Blood sorcery has Banu Hakim and Tremere as well. And Banu Hakim, the Viziers have a long history of using Thaumaturgy, so canonically it makes sense. But yeah, Weight of the Feather is the thing we got for Protean. So now we're going to buy... yes, it used to be called Quietus, but now it's just Blood Sorcery. We're gonna get Eyes of the Serpent. Let's see here. That is Presence. Sorry. So Presence level 1. I gotta say, I love the font choice. Very on brand. So this is a very nicely made character sheet. I love it. So that's page 185 in Anarch. Let's just write 185A or 185A like that. It is. Oh. Let me see here. Yeah, exactly what Fatumat is saying. Everything that changes your form is Protean. They're more like mage spheres. Serpentis is Protean with snake flavor. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. There's going to be more disciplines later on. I'm sure the player's handbook is going to have a shit ton of them. I hope anyway. But I think when you're making a whole new system, Dementation is... premonitions are in Auspex right now. You can still get premonitions, and Dementation is a part of Dominate, essentially. Chemistry, if Ravnos will come, just gonna say it's one of those clans that have been rumored to not even appear in the player's handbook. I don't think Paradox or White Wolf know what they want to do with Ravnos, and I don't blame them. They've been thrown left and right for a long time. Let's see. Eyes of the Serpent is free. And it is the dice pool of Charisma plus Presence. Charisma, Presence versus Wits, right? Wits, Composure. So willpower, essentially. And the duration is until eye contact is broken. Scene. One scene. And we know that until eye contact is broken. Yeah, I think Ravnos is just it's difficult to deal with because it's just like they don't really know. They were always kind of iffy. Very stereotypical raw money, like this whole story about that. I'm not going to go into it on this stream because this is about the ministry, which has also undergone quite a bit of change as well. So we got presence was the only extra bonus for the only extra power for the ministry. So we're going to go back to the main rulebook and go to presence, because another interesting thing is we can't buy a dot in each of our disciplines. We can't also buy 1 dot in obfuscate, for example, because one is with 2 dots and one is with 1 dot. So I'm going to put 1 dot more in presence. Vicissitude might be protean as well. There's been a lot of people thinking that. I think that's likely, to be honest. Also, canonically, one thing to keep in mind in V5, your characters are going to have a much more higher chance of being high generations, like 13, 12, 11. A lot more rules have been made for Thin Bloods. The emphasis on V5 right now is playing younger vampires. The whole game is kind of angled towards the idea that the older vampires are either paranoid as shit and basically locking themselves into their compounds, or they're heading off to the Gehenna Wars because of the Beckoning. So they don't give you that many options right now because there's really no need for it in terms of if you look at it out of a marketing perspective. You don't want to put everything in one book because then there's less incentive to buy further books. And these days marketing is sure, releasing a whole book of fluff is nice. They will do that occasionally, but they always got to put in new rules, and they want to avoid power creep too much, I believe. Let me see here. Awe, for sure. We got lingering. Okay, so now we have 3 options here. We have awe, daunt, lingering kiss. So awe, anyone in the presence of the vampire finds their attention inexplicably drawn to them. Those listening to the vampire speak might suddenly agree on subjects where they once held different viewpoints. Yes, this is the go-to discipline of LA by Night. You might think that I would pick awe, but that, my friend, is not what I'm going to pick. We'll keep going, but you get three guesses on which one of these 3 I'm going to pick. Daunt, instead of attracting people, the vampire uses presence to repel. With this power, the user appears threatening and exudes an aura of menace, powerful enough to make most mortals avoid their attention, and even vampires think twice about acting against them. Why did the Anarchs admit them in the movement? Isn't the ministry all about following their elders and enslaving mortals to addiction? Now, here we go with the rebranding. That's the old ministry. That's the followers of Set. They're a cult. They're a sect. We don't do that stuff. Ministry is all about embracing your freedom. Liberate yourself from societal norms. Liberate yourself from oppression, expectations from society. Do whatever you want, as long as you're not imposing on someone else. Like, do drugs, have crazy sex, whatever. That's what the ministry is about. That's why they're in the Anarch movement. They've essentially rebranded themselves as some kind of Epicurean society, which is far more okay with the Anarchs, although the Anarchs it's not technically a united sect. They're very opposed to the kind of rigorous control that, for example, the Camarilla would use on them. They also really don't have the option of going back to the Camarilla, so they're just embracing the idea of being the vice providers. And I'm going to go with Lingering Kiss. And my motivation for this is that this is not a character who wants to be the center of attention. Sure, she can manage it. She can convince people to do what she wants. She can manipulate people. She mingles in high society, but she's not a Toreador. She's not a Ventru or a Bruja. She doesn't want to stand out in the way that she doesn't want to be the center of attention. Because if you're the center of attention, a lot of people are going to be thinking, I wonder what she's doing. I wonder what she's up to. This is the kind of character who's building a network. She's a spider. So, Lingering Kiss. The kiss of a vampire induces near ecstasy in mortals, but this power leaves other kisses in the dust. Mortals fed upon by the user becomes addicted to the kiss, obsessing over it, and even seeking the vampire out for repeated feedings. Mortals often become anemic, self-harm, or even die from this addiction, but vampires find it a useful power for cultivating a herd. You see what I mean? this is the kind of thing she wants to have. She wants control. Like, a huge motivation for this character is that she wants to be in power. She wants to have control over her own life, and she wants to control other people. She's been kicked around a lot. So Lingering Kiss makes perfect sense for this character. It means that she can essentially take a mortal that she hates and force them to do what she wants. They will beg to be her blood dolls, and that's exactly the kind of situation she wants to be in. So we're gonna go with presence level 2, and it's gonna be, oh God, I am garbage at remembering these things. Lingering Kiss, which is on page 267. And it is free. The vampire can choose to use this power or not during each feeding. The user adds dice equal to their presence to any subsequent charisma attribute assisted pool against the bitten subject. A mortal fed upon with this power can make a willpower test, difficulty equal to the user's presence, every week to resist the effect. Winning this test for 3 consecutive weeks break the effect, and as does a single critical win, until successfully resisted. So this is a really good power, and most mortals won't even know what they're fighting. So dice pool is none, right? Yeah, we're not even gonna do, we're gonna leave this empty, and duration until broken. We'll just have to look this up when we do this. Oh, also small r, there we go. Let me see here. Nice talk about vicissitude. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to have Tzimisce in the game so much, but I really want to know what they're gonna do with the clan. I want them to have a big change, like something you'd see with the La Sombra. Like, I want them, either maybe they've stepped up to take complete charge of the Sabbat. Maybe the Sabbat has completely collapsed, because the Tzimisce were never great leaders. It's super clear in the old books that the Tzimisce voivodes, the lords, they don't really care about their people. They don't really care about the prosperity of their lands. All they care about is what is theirs. So if you infringe upon what is theirs, they will get mad and pissy at you. But otherwise, it's more like, this is my land, this is my ancestral homeland, don't touch it. Not that I care about it, but it's my mess. It may be messy, but it's my mess. And I want them to change that. Shark Boss, this sheet was made by Fat to Mad. I will drop the link one more time into the chat, but then I will make sure that it's also in the description of this video. Fat to Mad made an awesome character sheet, really expanded upon a bunch of stuff that needed expanded upon. So mad props to you. Right, we're done with disciplines. So that only took an hour and 24 minutes. Oh boy, this is a long stream. So we're gonna go back to character creation. I feel like we have a really good grasp on this character right now, by the way. Now we're going to pick Predator type. This is another new addition to V5. Predator type, very important to remember. This is not something you have to follow in game. Some of them will definitely affect you. Sorry, I just got distracted by the chat. Some of them will affect you. Like, for example, if you're a vegetarian, you will only be able to drink animal blood. That's definitely going to affect you in game. But being like a cleaver, someone who feeds on your own family, that's only in between sessions. You're absolutely welcome to feed on your own family in game, but there is no obligation to adhere to this unless it's specifically said. This is something I mistook when I first started playing V5. I was very unfamiliar with V5. Then I played in the Vituera's Blood City on the Onyx Path for a while, and I played a cleaver, and it took a while for me to realize that I could actually feed from other people as well. So, Predator types. These give you a specialty, a 1 dot to a listed discipline, and some associated advantages and some flaws. This is kind of like how Nature Demeanor used to work, kind of, but it's a little bit more complicated. So, Predator type. Alley cat, nope. She doesn't feed from people in an alley. She doesn't beat people up. Bagger, you steal, buy, or otherwise procure cold blood. That would not work with the way she operates until now. We designed her to essentially enthrall mortals. If she was a bagger, she wouldn't be able to do this. This is someone who feeds from cold blood. Blood leech, you drink from other vampires, either by hunting, coercion, or by taking blood as payment. Prey exclusion mortals means you don't drink from mortals. Will not work. See, this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes you will get a prey exclusion, means you can't feed from these. Prey exclusion mortals, that's a pretty big exclusion. We're not going to go with that one. Cleaver. You feed covertly from your or someone's mortal family and friends with whom you still maintain ties. I don't consider this character to have much of a family. I'm kind of imagining her moving to this city to kind of start a new life, or in some other way having very few ties with the mortal world, which made it even harder for her when things were getting difficult because she had no one to turn to. She might have even been an illegal, so going to the police would have been out of the question. She would essentially be forced to leave everything she'd built behind. So basically, this was her one out to become a vampire. She doesn't blame her sire for it, but it's certainly something that she's struggling with. That being said, she's definitely not a cleaver. Consensualist, nope, she's not a consensualist. Vegan, nope, she's not a farmer. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, consensualist. Now people would need to know. People would need to know that she was a vampire. So that doesn't really work. I mean, it does kind of work in a way, but it would mean, oh man, the mere fact that we're stopping a consensualist and discussing it means that it's a candidate for sure for this. So consensualist, that would be interesting. Like maybe she's justifying feeding from these people because she tells them what she is, but they can't reveal it or she won't give them anything. I like that one. Consensualist is a candidate. Osiris, you are a celebrity among mortals, or else you run a cult, a church, or something similar. Now, this is something you'd usually go with for a Toreador, perhaps, or for a ministry member. However, we also established earlier, I'll keep reading, by the way. You feed from your fans or worshippers who treat you as a deity. You always have access to easy blood, but followers breed problems with the authorities, organized religions, and indeed the Camarilla. In life, you might have been a DJ, a writer, a cultist, a preacher, or a LARP organizer. The reason, by the way, why I'm saying that is because she has prey exclusion, non-consenting, dark secret flaw, the Masquerade breacher. She has to reveal that she's drinking people's blood, and this can get her into a lot of trouble. On the other hand, she's an anarch, which certainly works for her. She gains another dot in humanity, which doesn't really mesh with her selling drugs, but she is selling drugs to people she don't consider good people. So Osiris consensualist. The problem with consensualist is that the problem with Osiris is that, again, she doesn't really want to be famous. She doesn't want to be center of attention, but maybe she's famous enough. Like Osiris, we'll consider it for a while. She doesn't have a cult. She doesn't have performance. So in that sense, it's a little bit weird that she would have this, because she's not a writer, a DJ, or a cultist or preacher. She's not making up some kind of religion. You all hearing this? Looks like we got a little cat here screaming at me. I'm basically reading the PDF on Foxit Reader. That's what I'm using. Every single cat got freaked out right now. I'm using Foxit Reader to read the official PDF that I got when I bought the book, and I'm streaming with OBS. And the character sheet I'm using is made by Fat2Mad, and I will give a link in the description once the stream is over. Now, Sandman, you rely on your stealth or disciplines to feed from sleeping victims. No. Scene Queen. You rely on your familiarity with a certain subculture and a well-crafted pose, feeding on an exclusive subculture that believes you to be one of them. Your victims adore you for your status in the scene, and the ones who understand what you are disbelieved. And the ones who understand what you are disbelieved. Your victims adore you for your status in the scene, and the ones who understand what you are disbelieved. It's a strange way of phrasing it, but essentially people who know what I am aren't believed by these people. So, you may belong to the streets or be literal upper class, abusing the weak with false hope and promises of taking them to the next level. In life, you almost certainly belong to a scene similar to the one you stalk now. This sounds a lot more like what she would be. But dominant, getting point of dominant wouldn't be that's actually really good. But she'd gain fame, again, something she doesn't want. She would gain contacts. Man, this is difficult. Like, if she gained Osiris, she would actually, spend 3 dots between fame and herd background. You know what? This is good, though. Osiris is good because you get herd background. Man, this is a hard choice. I'm going to look a little bit at the lore sheets later on. So that could definitely work with consensualist. You're right, Fatima. That's good. Those are not all. We also have Siren. You feed almost exclusively during or while feigning sex, and you rely on your disciplines, seduction skills, or the unquenchable appetites of others to conceal your carnivorous nature. Feed from blood bags is it's called Bagger. We've skipped that one. We're not doing that one. Siren could certainly work for this character. But I don't think that really works with her concept. She has to be a professional, and if you're sleeping around with your clients, I mean, it's 2020, so no judging, but that could actually damage her reputation or compromise it, as people might use that to, like, it's touchy-feely. Maybe she's like, I'm all business, catch me when I'm off duty or catch me when I'm off the shift, something like that. Yeah, you're right. Scene Queen and Osiris are always used. I think I'm gonna go with consensualist, actually, which is so interesting because let's go with consensualist, because she none of her disciplines use blood, by the way. They're all free, which is interesting. They're all free, so she doesn't need even to roll a hunger check, to rouse check to use them. She tends not to be in environments where, like, she has to use blush of... Wait a minute. If you have 8 dots of humanity, doesn't that mean you blush of health automatically? I need to check that. Blush of health. We're on to something here, folks. Let's see. Okay. What about blush of health without the capital H? It's apparently sensitive to capitalization. All right. How about we remove case sensitive? There we go. Blush of health. Come on. I know there's a rule for it. Blush of life. Thank you. That's the one. Blush of life. Blush of health was the old merit. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's Blush of life, page 218. This is opening up so many options with her having humanity 8, and it's such an interesting approach, because she's kind of compartmentalizing the fact that she's feeding off of people, and she's going like, these are bad people. I personally know these are bad people, so I don't mind feeding from them as long as they're okay with it. But she kind of also makes them addicted to it, so it's like it's complicated. Let's see here. Yeah, let's keep going. Sorry. Blush of life. Okay, so vampires can fake or sometimes even enjoy. Page 236. At humanity 9 or higher, vampires appear ill or heroin chick rather than dead. So she needs to be at 9. Let's go to humanity. She needs to be at humanity 9 for that. So that's out of the door. But maybe she even was at humanity 9. Let's try to find the humanity chart. Also, they added these cool appendices, but they also added them after the index. So that's something. Let's see here. Humanity 236. Yeah, Oliver, I agree. That's something I really like, that she has the lingering kiss, which I think she's aware that she's using them. Yeah, she has what they need and is willing to give it to them. Yeah, I love this so much. It's a great character concept. You still feel pain for the hurts you and your kind inflict. Your human guise remains passable, the memories remain fresh, or new instincts for community springs up like green shoots from your long dead soul. Humanity 8 vampires can appear human in other regards. You can roll 2 dice for your arousal check to use Blush of Life and take the highest result. Blush of Life allows you to have sexual intercourse and perhaps even enjoy it. Blush of Life allows you to digest and taste wine. You're right about that one. There's the camera, sorry. You can rise from day sleep up to an hour before sunset if you wish. Perfect. I mean, humanity 9 would be a little too high, I'd say. So I think this is a good compromise. She's going to be a consensualist. Medicine phlebotomy. What is phlebotomy? Let me Google that. Phlebotomy. This is when someone uses a needle to take blood from a vein, usually in your arm. Nope, she's not going to be good at doing that. Also, sorry for the brightness. Persuasion victims. There we go. Persuasion victims. She's good at persuading people. See, even if you're a consensualist, they're painting you up as predatorial. Because it's not just asking someone, you're convincing them to give. It's like they know what you are, but you're kind of working them over to agree to this. So even when you're nice, you're not actually nice, not rice. Sorry, it's getting late. You can probably drink a beer too. Like wine is for more refined societies, of course. If you start at humanity 7 by default, is it in theory possible to get higher humanity? Ice Phoenix, yes, this is one of those cases, because we went with consensualist, we get humanity 8. You can also invest experience points in humanity when you start the game, because you always get a certain amount of points to put into stuff. So yeah, I think we could technically start with humanity 9. I'm not sure though. We'll see when we get there. Not gonna go there though. Humanity 9 is a little too high for her. Yeah, it's very twisted. I'm surprised not more people picked that, to be honest. It's really horrible. 1 dot of auspice or fortitude. Let's go with humanity 8 before we forget about it. So humanity 8. Auspice or fortitude. We're going to read up on those. Dark Secret Masquerade Breacher. So we're going to add that. I guess it's going to be going under advantages and backgrounds. Dark Secret, brick. 2 dots. Yeah, no, I think getting humanity 9 is going to be just way too high, too expensive, and it's honestly a bit of a waste of points. Unless you're like, if you're really going in for role playing here, I think it's just too many points. Let me see here. Oh no, that's just 1 dot for Dark Secret. And Feeding Flaw, Prey Exclusion. Feeding Flaw, Prey. So she feeds from non-consenting. Feeding Flaw, Prey. Well, there's another type. Yeah, exactly. Yes, this is very important. I mentioned this earlier as well. Fat to Mad, great for bringing that up. Also, good on you to include page references. This is an amazing sheet. Consensualist doesn't mean, or actually, your predator type doesn't mean you have to feed this way. Some of them do. For consensualist, I literally cannot feed from someone who is, or actually I think I might have to roll willpower or something like that. But I should not feed from someone who's not consenting. And some of them, like Osiris, has no limit like that. You can feed from whoever you want. So yeah, that's how it works. It gives you, it gives you a stain. We can talk about stains later. That's an interesting system too. All right, so Auspex or Fortitude. Let's go look at the disciplines. So this is also an interesting thing that you get out of clan disciplines because of your predator type. And usually you're not limited in these. Like, I know Osiris can get a dot of Thaumaturgy or Blood Sorcery if they're Tremere. Otherwise you can't. But I think that's the only one. So one dot of Auspex can give us Heightened Senses or Sense the Unseen. Heightened Senses, the vampire's senses sharpen to a preternatural degree, giving them the ability to see in pitch darkness, hear ultrasonic frequencies, and smell the fear of cowering prey. Sense the Unseen. The senses of the vampire becomes attuned to dimensions beyond the mundane, allowing them to sense presence otherwise hidden from the naked eye. This can be anything from another vampire using Obfuscate to someone using Auspex to spy upon the character to a ghost in the middle of the room. Dormant blood sorcery spells and rituals might also be found with this power at the storyteller's discretion. Sense the Unseen is a candidate right now, not super sold on it, but let's go see what Fortitude has to offer. So Fortitude used to be that you just gained additional dice, essentially, to soak. It's been greatly expanded upon in this edition. Resilience. Endowed with supernatural endurance, the user can strengthen their physical resolve. The user adds their Fortitude rating to their health track. That's one thing you can do. That's good. Unswayable Mind. The user gains a mystical ability to resist any attempts to sway them through mundane charms, coercions, or wilds. Some exhibit unswayable mind as zen-like calm, others as supernatural stubbornness. The users add their dots in Fortitude as extra dice in any roll made to resist coercion, intimidation, seduction, or any other attempt to sway the user's mind against their will. I think we got ourselves a winner, folks. It's also free, which goes with the theme. This power also works against supernatural abilities such as Dominated Presence. Unswayable Mind it is. I don't think there's even... Yeah, there's not even a competition here. Let's go. Fortitude 1 dot. That's a very good one for a character like this. So... Fortitude. Oh, level 1. Unswayable Mind. And that is on page 258. 258. It is my favorite price, free. It is essentially adding Fortitude to as an extra die. So just gonna go star here. Let's do that with this one as well. If you ever want to use this one, just look it up. And it lasts, it's a passive, so it lasts all the time. Perfect. So I think Predator type is, if you're ever not sure what kind of a character you want to play, Predator type, starting with that one, is actually a good idea because they offer you a breadth of options and inspiration to use to create your character. We already had a pretty good idea of what kind of character we were making, but now we've even more narrowed down her modus operandi. We know that she only feeds from the people who are in her community, low-life rich people, essentially. Nouveau riche, like vice-filled, essentially, you know, your Epstein-type kind of people. So she only feeds from them, and she only feeds from them if they're okay with it, but they're okay with it because it's kind of like giving them a drug, and she's kind of making them do it, so it's all twisted, and she's rationalizing this, and she's compartmentalizing this, and this part we only now realized because of the Predator type. So in a sense, like just like nature and demeanor used to be, this is a great tool for expanding your character and giving them some more life. It's not just a mechanic, it's very well worked into the role play. So, it's you're all with me so far. We're an hour and 45 minutes in, and we're getting there. We're getting there. So, next step of character creation. advantages. Spend 7 points of advantages and take 2 points of flaws in addition to the ones gained from your predator type. Thin blood characters must take between 1 and 3 thin blood merits and the same number of thin blood flaws. Add any new supporting cast from it. So relationship map, we're not covering that now because we're not making a coterie, but that's going to be relevant at another point. And who knows, maybe next time I will be working on the coterie. So, merits and flaws. This thing, predator type pasta feeder, I love it. Is it Chef Boyardee then? Like, you only feed from people who look like Chef Boyardee, or is it strictly pasta feeding? Something I'm not happy about, I'll just go out there and say it, I'm not happy about this in V5 is the low amount of flaws and merits and the fact that they mix them up with backgrounds. I get why they did it, but I dearly wish they hadn't. Because I always felt that flaws and merits and flaws were never super necessary, but backgrounds were. And I think mixing them up kind of takes away something from the backgrounds. I'm gonna show you, you'll understand in a little bit. It used to be they were very separate, now they're not. Let's go to merits. They're still called backgrounds, but they're using the same points. Yeah, that was special red sauce. No, that was great. Corn is good. Also, keep in mind, lore sheets use advantage points as well. So we might actually want to start with looking into lore sheets, and I'm gonna do that. So we're gonna go to lore sheets first, and they are at the very, they're at the end of it, right? Here we go. Lore sheets, completely new thing for V5, and I'd say together with Predator type, my favorite addition to the game. Lore sheets essentially allow you to weave your character into the established canonic lore of Vampire in a much better way. Oh yeah, the music in the background is actually the soundtrack to Vampire the Masquerade Preludes, All Our Friends Are Dead and We Eat Blood. No, We Eat Blood and All Our Friends Are Dead, which was a not very good choose your own adventure mobile game, and it was written by Zach Sabbath, who is I'm not a huge fan, let's just say that, but the music is great, and I'm very sad that the awesome music that was made is not used more. Hopefully some of it will show up in Bloodlines 2. So, Bahari. You can be part of the Bahari. They are essentially worshippers of Lilith, and I don't want this character to start out as a Bahari, but that is certainly something that she could become through this story. I think she would really, I think it would mesh well with her life philosophy. They seek enlightenment through pain and conflict, turning this masochistic urge into the strength to endure and overcome. I think she would work well as a Bahari later on, but not right now, not now. She has no relationship to Tio Bell. Obviously, she's not a Bruja. Yeah, exactly. Not a Humanity 8. When she's further down the Humanity table, that's when she goes Bahari. Canaanite Heresy, same thing. This is super non-kosher. These are bad people. So no Canaanite Heresy. Karna, that's Tremere. What was that? Cat. Okay, the cat did something. Yeah, and her sire hasn't told her anything about that yet. Circulatory system, you were mentioning this one. I don't think she relies on this because this implies she's got connections in vampiric society. She doesn't. She's very new to it. So we'll keep this one in mind. But for now, she feeds strictly through her own club. Convention of Thorns. No relationship to that, of course. This Vampire Society. First Inquisition. She doesn't know anything about that. Golconda. Again, she probably hasn't heard too much about this. Senate Hardestat is Ventru only. Oh, apparently Karna you don't have to be Tremere, but she doesn't know about Karna. Sentence of Hardestat. Oh, I love this. I love these illustrations. Sentence of Helena. She's not a Toreador. Sect War Veteran. No. Trinity. She has nothing to do with Michael and Drakon. Jeanette Therese Vorm. Guys, what if she runs an asylum? Hear me out. Hear me out. What if she runs an asylum? I mean, it's 5 points. It's a lot of points. But that would be awesome. Jeanette or Therese permits you to franchise an asylum club in your domain. As long as the club remains open, you have 4 dots to spend on Haven, Herd, resources, or the chast of your domain. The Trinity is Drakon, Michael, and I never remembered the Venture's name. I mean, yes, the Asylum has gone international. They have one in... oh god, I freaking just covered this in my Jeanette and Therese video. They have asylums in a lot of places. I kind of really want her to have an asylum. That's really cool. That's also such a great thing to have in your game, because it's a well-famous international brand, is going to attract vampire customers, which she doesn't like, and it's a whole slew of problems for this character. So yeah, definitely gonna go for it. Sorry people who said no, I just really want her to have that. So lore sheet, let's see here. So the one thing with the lore sheets is that you don't get any of the previous dots when you buy into a lore sheet. You only get the one that you paid for. So if I'm paying 5 points, she gets Asylum Operator. She doesn't get any of the other ones. Everyone's favorite 2 a.m. public disturbance. You're right. She could be running her own asylum. Let's get it 5 points. But if worst case scenario, she might not. Asylum Operator, can't spell. Yeah, she runs an asylum in Sweden. Could be Stockholm, could be Gothenburg. We'll see. No, Ice Phoenix, good question that you're bringing this up. So Jeanette and Therese Vorman, since Bloodlines, yes, there are now more asylums. There's one in Las Vegas. There's one in not Louisiana, but in New Orleans. They are franchised in America, Asia, and Europe. Yes, so they franchise essentially. They're competing with the Succubus Club, which is of course something else I could be going for, but I like the asylum, and I like the idea that this character is operating the asylum for their sire. So essentially it's like a joint effort, but the sire doesn't have time for it, or something like that. Weekend Nightmares, no, nothing about that. Rudy, nope, don't know that one. Just another Tyler, that's Bruja, so no. Or maybe that's something she could work towards in her own story. You're right, maybe she... yeah, Succubus Club is Camarilla. Maybe you're right. Maybe she shouldn't have that one. She could have maybe 2 or 3 points in there. Yes, a performing monkey. So Jeanette and Therese are using her Jeanette and Therese know you as a reliable asset, and they frequently subject you to missions ranging from serious investigations to flights of insane fancy. Although dangerous, they are generous, and they repay any boons incurred. I think that one works better. Like, maybe there isn't an asylum in Stockholm, but she kind of wants... Like, that would be the ultimate achievement, to have your own asylum. So maybe she's just a performance monkey for Jeanette and Therese Vorman right now. GT Warman, and just performance monkey is gonna be paid. It's gonna be 2 dots, because it's a lot of points. I mean, we'll definitely look it over. We might still make it a 5-point thing. There's an Azelios, there's Nosferatu, Vasantasina, there's Malkavian, the Pepsi version of Asylum. You're right. Ugh, too sweet. Not enough carbonation. High Clan. Nope, that's not real. That Low Clan, nope. Ambrose Meropis, Cyprus Trendsetter. Oh, this is a Camarilla guy, so no way. Carmelita Nilsson, she's cool, but doesn't really suit with my character. Fiorenza Savona, she's more of a Ventru kind of person. Call Shrek Descendant. Nope. Xavier, this Gangrel. Are there any lore sheets in the Anarch book? Oh, there are. Nice. Okay, let's go lore sheets. Salvador Garcia, no relation, that's in Los Angeles. Agatha Starrick. Nah, that's not interesting. Hesha Ruhadze. That would be interesting, but Hesha is not really in her brand of stuff. Yeah, Teresa wouldn't allow it. You're right. Teresa wouldn't allow a young kindred like yourself to run it, so it's something to work for. You own one of Hesha's treatises on history. No, she doesn't care about kindred history. The Church of Set. She's not really... you can analyze whether a mortal kindred is a secret they're trying to hide. You get a 2 dice bonus to insight-based test to find whether someone is keeping a secret. Oh, I love this. Yeah, Karna should be Tremere only. I think some aspects of it might be. I didn't read it too closely. But Tap the Secret Vein, I love that one. That's an interesting lore sheet. Freedom from the Aeons. You gain 2 additional dice on rolls to resist dominate and presence attempts from vampires of other clans. Okay, we're gonna go Tap the Secret Vein, but that is definitely just a candidate. It's not a, not for sure. Church of Set. We'll still keep that one. We'll keep it in mind. Descendant of Xavier, that's in Camarilla. Am I in the Camarilla book? No, I'm in the Anarch book. Ruins of Carthage, blah, 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 Blood Plague, who cares? Anarch Revolt, she's not part of that. No. Okay, so let's actually go and look at the merits and flaws now. Oh, Cults of the Blood Gods, you're right, I should. Oh boy, I really should. Let me see here. White Wolf, actually let me get that. Properties, no, go away. Let me get that the other way. I'm showing off way too many of my personal files. That could be dangerous. Let me see here. White Wolf V5. Blood Gods Kickstarter manuscript compiled. So this is the manuscript for the Cults of the Blood Gods Kickstarter. I think there's some lore sheets in here. Not sure, but we'll look for it. Oh, and in the Chicago book, there's just so many lore sheets, but I want to get some merits and backgrounds too. Might actually get rid of the Therese and Jeanette Warman one if we find something better. Here we go. Here are the lore sheets. Calling the Family Reunion, the Sekata only. Nosferatu exclusives. Search of Irad, the Strong. Nope. The Promise of 1528. A Sekata thing. Sticks and Bones. No, that's just an adventure. So not a lot of lore sheets. Oh wait, there are, but these are bloodlines, aren't they? Yeah, bloodlines. My hentai secrets. Yeah, I wish. More like my embarrassing fanfics. Hi Navi, how you doing? Let's go check the Chicago lore sheets as well. Although I'm pretty sure these are limited to Chicago. I'm sorry, Chicago. Apparently that's how you pronounce it. Not ch, but Chicago. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Starting in Cults of the Blood Gods, when you pick Hecata, because there are so many old bloodlines related and put into Hecata, you can actually be one of these bloodlines and have specific advantages connected to that. So that's like an expansion on the lore sheets, which I think is really neat, and I think they're definitely going to keep using that further on. Let me find the lore sheets. Where are you? La Sombra. Yeah, these are very closely connected to Chicago. And I don't think she would be a lupine expert. First Light, no. Fires, Floods, Downside, no. Nope. Cult of Shalim and Cultivars, I guess. But these are, again, you'd be a very specific kind of character who's into one of these things. So for now, yeah, you're right, Fatima. They should have some kind of overview to find all these things. And yeah, the Hecata is essentially the new Cappadocian / Giovanni / Salu. No, not Salubri. Samedi. Oh, what else is there in there? The Lamie, the Nagaraja, like a whole bunch of different bloodlines joined up and formed the Hecata. God, you can tell I'm getting a little bit tired. So let's go back to merits and flaws. Where are we? No, this is all wrong. Merits, backgrounds. So we've bought 2. We have 4 points now. Yeah, the Giovanni have joined as well, of course. Essentially, all the old Giovanni got screwed over by the young ones who realized that, oh wait, we're not getting anything good out of this, and there's whisperings about this old deal we made with the Camarilla. No one's telling us what that's about, and we're worried we might be killed. So, linguistics. I got a question very early on about languages. This is where languages are. Every player character has a perfect fluency in their birth language in the dominant language of the Chronicle setting. So, they get 2 languages by default. I'm going to say she has a point in this just so she can speak English. Because obviously a lot of international customers, so that's going to happen. Looks, I'd say she should be good looking, but honestly not necessarily good looking. Like, she can look okay. We'll keep this in mind, but again, emphasis, she is not a seducer, she's a provider of services. So looks is not really what we're going for here. She's more of a friendly kind of person, a very professional friendly person. Yeah, the Chronicle's not going to be in English though. Well, that's not been decided yet, but what we were running for now is someone who's in Sweden or Swedish, which would be Swedish. And if she's not, if she's maybe she's Somali, or maybe she is from Syria or Assyria, something like that. So she would speak that language as well as Swedish. So I'm gonna definitely give her English. A club host needs good looks. Yes, I agree with you, in a way, but it's 2 points. It's a lot of points. It would be the last merit we're getting, so I'm keeping it in mind. She does substance abuse. Maybe substance abuse. I'll think about it. She needs 2 flaws. Yeah, I mean, linguistics literally says perfect fluency in their birth language and in the dominant language of the Chronicle setting, which is going to be Sweden. So Swedish is the dominant language, even though a lot of Swedes speak pretty good English. Blood junkie, bond junkie. Blood bond on you lose your bond strength, bond resistance. Feeding, we got that flaw already. Bloodhound, like already we're at thin blood. Right away we get to thin blood, so that's what I was talking about, that there's not a lot of merits and backgrounds right now. We'll get to backgrounds in a little bit. Mythic merits and flaws, stigmata, folkloric block. I think I'm gonna actually have her be a substance abuser. Addiction. Lose 2 dice. Like, the Giovanni used to be a very influential Roman family. Like, they're old Roman necromancers. They were called the Jovians initially. So they've been around for a long time, and they got embraced into the Cappadocians because of their necromantic skills with spirits, especially. So that's why they were embraced. Well, a high-functioning addict is essentially a merit. She's going to have addiction. How about addiction? Cocaine. She'll have a cocaine addiction. Why not? Like Sherlock Holmes. Addiction. Cocaine. So if she feeds from people, they need to have taken cocaine. That's good. This works. And long bonds or bond junkie. The bond feels sweeter to you once it happens. Subtract 1 die from your dice pool to acting as a blood bond. I think she's gonna be a bond junkie. Like she's really she's kind of starved for affection. In a sense that the emotions that the blood bond evokes is so strange to her. It's like she's been kind of emotionally detached from her profession because of all the shit she's been forced to do and see and live through. So the emotions that blood bond evokes is kind of really attractive to her, at least level 1, because that would actually make nice Metalocalypse reference, by the way. She kind of wants that art feeling, even though it's artificial. Cocaine. Oh, the puns in the chat right now. Yeah, she's gonna be a bond junkie. Either that or long bond. We'll keep that in mind. We'll see what happens when we get to backgrounds as well, of course. So, as you can see, they work backgrounds into this system. Allies, reliability, contacts. I think she should have contacts. One contact who can do or get something useful for you. Resources to example, small-time gun dealer, veterinarian, a weed dealer, a car salesman. I would certainly say that a 2-level contact would be good. Allies, I don't think she have any allies. Mala would also work with her sire. Fame, nah. She's got the dark secret. Influence. She doesn't have much influence. She's not really a public person. Dislike. Subtract 1 die from social test dice pools involving any group in the city except your contacts and allies or other explicitly loyal supporters. That's a very, very harsh 1-level flaw. Any group except your contacts or allies and other explicitly loyal supporters, you will get -1 to all your social tests. That's horrible. I mean, I kind of also want her to have the club, which she wouldn't have if she had Therese and Janet Borman. I want her to have an... Oh man, this is tough. Mask. This is really difficult. Let me see here. You know what? Screw it. We're getting rid of these. They are too expensive for what they're doing. Okay, I'm gonna consider the Jeanette. I'm gonna do it like this. And just do it like this. It's just too many points put into that for what it's giving us. So let's put the flaws over here. And do the lore sheets first. Linguistics. Addiction, cocaine. That's gonna be over here. Boom, 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 boom. So we got 3 points put out. We got 4 points left. So yeah, this is so hard right now. Because if she doesn't have a mask, oh, she's just been recently killed. So by default, at no dots, a vampire either has no need of a mask, such as those recently embraced and still able to pass as the humans they were, or has a single mask and fake ID. So, okay, no mask. Mola. Her sire helps her, but resources. Nice apartment or small house. God, there's just so many things. She's not. Oh, she's not introduced yet. Yeah, I don't. I think this system is not good. I think this is the worst part of V5, to be honest. She's not homeless, yeah. Fine. Resources 2. A lot of her money's gone into... Actually, resources 1. Fuck it. All of her money's tied up in her haven, maybe? Maybe not. Resources 2. She's not been introduced yet. She's still fledgling in that sense. Yeah, she doesn't need to be introduced, that's true. Nice apartment or small house, several cars, high-end equipment. No, she's portfolio proletariat. She doesn't have that much money right now because she's... Sorry, excuse me for a moment. Pardon me for a second. Okay, sorry. Kitsu was talking, but she's not talking to me. Let me see here. Mala, no. Let's see here. Doesn't need a mask. Herd. No herd. No, she doesn't have a herd. Not yet. There is generation, but it's not a background point. You can't invest points into it. It's essentially you're limited to what your storyteller is giving you. Yeah, her motivation is to develop her club. Basically, yeah, everyone is agreeing that resources 1 is good. She's starting off, she doesn't have a lot of money. She has high tier clientele, but she has so many expenses that she's just living paycheck to paycheck. Actually, becoming a vampire is a boon to her because she doesn't need to invest in food anymore. Well, that's great. Also, cutting down on utilities quite a bit. She could just turn off the heating because she doesn't need any heating. I think Haven is but Haven, does that work? Should that be her club? Influence. She should pull in mortal community. So, I don't think influence really right now. She was always under someone's thumb. She's only now started working as her own person. So yeah, I would actually love to homebrew this, but I'm gonna try to stick by the books so far. This is something I just dearly wished I revised for the next system. We can still pay experience points to get these, so all hope is not lost, but it's still quite a bit of points I would like to invest in other stuff as well. Infamy, no. Fame, no. Context. Let's give her contacts. She's got to have someone. She's got to have a contact, 2 dots, and a what was the word for servant? A ghoul. She has a ghoul, her driver, who's also like her Mr. Fix-It, and he is a retainer. That's the word for it. He's not actually hers, working for the boss, but she can borrow him for now. I'm gonna put more points into this. But with this, like, yeah, retainer, thank you. Sorry, the chat is just slightly behind, so I always feel like a dumbass, and then you guys help me out, and I already figured it out. Sorry, I'm not super great. She has 1. No. Oh. White Wolf, why did you do it like this? Alright, you know what? Let's get rid of Warmans. Oh, it sucks, but what you gonna do? 4, 5, 6. It could be the Hulk's alias for sure. Oh. There's her resources, Mala. Maybe she doesn't actually own the club. Maybe she's just running it. Mask or sheep herd. Okay, so let's go look at the Haven thing here. Has a suicide's grave, a room in an abandoned motel, a rented office, or an apartment with windows blacked out with plastic bags. They can still remain safe and hidden by day in this relatively small and insecure haven by default. The storyteller may allow player character to default a somewhat better haven from another background. Yeah, I'm gonna put haven. We're gonna put experience points into this. Yeah, actually, she calls him her own Mr. Clean, or I guess WC Duck, because that's what we call it in Sweden. WC Anka. Oh, maybe she doesn't have a club. You're right, Arvid. That's a good idea. Maybe she doesn't actually have a club. She just attends celebrations. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. She just fixes drugs for people. She doesn't actually operate out of her own club. That works. Aspiration, buying her old club back, getting back her old club. I like that. That's going to be her motivation. Bindefeld. She goes to parties and she gets people what they need. So she should probably have more points in contacts. Gifted mortal or dangerous group of average mortals. Street gang, celebrity entourage, or blue collar union locals. Yeah, she has contacts in a street gang. There we go. It was a problem until it was no longer a problem. Thank you very much for the input, guys. This essentially means that she doesn't have her own club. She goes from party to party and uses her contacts to give her the stuff she needs. And occasionally she does work for her sire as well. She represents and does things like that. But her aspirations is to earn enough money and clout to get her club back. Her sire offered to give her the club back. She said no. She wanted to get it back. She wanted to rub it in the face of her old boss. So that's a great motivation. And also a good reason for her to get involved in vampiric society, because that's where the big money is. She doesn't want to, but she's kind of forced into this. So I like that. This is great. This is turning into a great character, guys. I love this. Are we still up for going? Because it's 20 past 11. I'm willing to go for another 40 minutes at most, but then I'm gonna crash. So we've done advantages. Convictions and touchstones. Now, this is something people wanted me to cover a lot. I got a lot of questions about this. Let me get into this. Convictions. These are things that if you break them, these are your MVP. I would love to make that kind of a character at some point too, like some kind of cleaner. We're gonna make a coterie. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a coterie. We're gonna make 3 or 4 vampires and just essentially use this as a group. Next session is going to be shorter, so maybe I'll make all 3 of them at that point. All right, let's see here. Convictions. These are rules that you have made for yourself that you need to follow. Oh God, Eon and Neotech. Eon, especially old Eon, such a long time. Yeah, no half measures. So let's go to some examples of convictions. For every conviction you make an equivalent amount of touchstones. So, beliefs. What does this character believe? What motivates them? Thou shalt not kill. Doesn't care about that one. Kill only the unworthy unbelievers in fair combat in self-defense. Potential here. She's not really into killing, but I don't think she'd be okay with killing people. Oh, Faceless Deviant, I agree with you. One time with New Eon. Eon is a Swedish role-playing system, which is low fantasy, not highly complicated, but very realistic combat rules in the sense that it can be over like that. And one time we created a bunch of knights, like traveling knights for a group, And my storyteller was like, all right, we're gonna have our first duel. Let's do it by the books. The fight took 2.5 hours because neither of us could hurt the other one because we were wearing so much armor. So finally, I collapsed due to exhaustion and fainted. That was a duel. So sometimes too much. It's just too much, all right? Just temper your rules. Never expose children to violence. I don't think she'd have this one. She's never been a family person. I think she doesn't want to have kids involved, but she's never really like, your gang is using preteens to push to deliver drugs. All right, whatever, as long as I get my drugs. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Pfft. Disobedience is dishonor. Protect the innocent from harm. Courage is the highest virtue. Always keep your sworn word. The truth is sacred, thou shalt not lie. Slavery is evil. Obey authority. My country, right or wrong. None may control me. There we go. That's conviction number 1. Where do we have them? This is such a great sheet, Fat Too Mad. Conviction. None may control me. I'm using the ones that come with the book, but you're free to make your own as long as your storyteller can approve of these. And if you're a storyteller and if you're not sure if you should approve them, err on the side of cautious. Having a conviction that heavily clashes with the rest of the group can be problematic or it can be great, depending on the role players. Oh god, yeah, a 1 minute duel that ended with a wound to the stomach that explodes into huge damage. You can literally die from a snowball in Neon if you're unlucky enough. But yeah, none may control me. She makes some concessions. Her sire doesn't actually control her, but she's relying on him for a lot of stuff. Never do drugs. Yeah, we're throwing that one out, right out the window. Thou shalt not torture. She doesn't really care about that. The guilty must be punished. From each according to their abilities, to each according to their needs. Rob from the rich, give to the poor. No, she's more like rob from the rich, keep to myself. Reject wealth, for it corrupts. Never act against another, insert own group. Faith sect. Nope. Always aid women in need. Stand up for the disenfranchised. Respect, insert religion here, as sacred and obeys moral laws. Never forget a slight. Never forgive a slight. She is petty. She remembers everything. This is not actually in the book. So this is, I already made my own conviction here. I think none may control me and never forgive a slight. This leaves some room to work within. She's not gonna freak out and frenzy on someone who insults her, but she will get back. Like, she has a book of grudges in her head right now. She does not forgive someone who fucks her over. Always aid women in need. It's such a huge implication. So, like... Never act against another escort. Is that what you mean? Or... Stand up for the disenfranchised. Like, a lot of these would paint her as a kinder, nicer person. Also, Victor, stop biting the plastic plant. She is not. She is not a nice person. She's got humanity 8, but that's because she still have a bunch of hang-ups from when she was a human. The rich are never trust the rich. I think this it has a lot of implications in the game. She will obviously have trouble working with any venture with money. She has trouble keeping money because she doesn't consider, even if she'll be making a lot of money, she'll be investing this in her own business. She's not the kind of person who would flaunt rich money. I was looking at Faceless Deviants Be Generous. The first hit is always free, and I agree that that's a good conviction. But yeah, this is entirely dependent on her history as a mortal. She doesn't trust the rich. Never forgive. Oh, how about never trust the system? She has absolutely zero faith in the judicial system, in the police, in any official capacity. She doesn't trust the government. She doesn't trust them because they betrayed her and failed her so many times. She does not trust the system. Either that or never trust the rich. But I think this works well because she's the kind of person, instead of going to the police, she will fix things herself. Or find people to pay to fix it. I feel like this is really helps shape the kind of a character she is, and definitely something that would have grown in her as a mortal. The mortal system. I think that's gonna reflect on vampire systems as well. She's not gonna be like, oh, he insulted me in Elysium, you should do something about that. She will do something about that herself. She doesn't trust the vampire society either. She's like, oh, you guys have existed for thousands of years. What an amazing opportunity to develop a system that's going to fuck me over. That's essentially her idea of what vampiric society is. Don't trust a man, essentially. And like, destroy the rich with their own pleasures. That's a good conviction. This I'm gonna say eat the rich. This is such an interesting aspect. So eat the rich, which is working a lot of what Faceless Deviant and Grash is saying right now. No, sorry, Faceless Deviant. Essentially, she has no problem. Like, she won't kill and eat rich people like that, but she does not consider rich people to be humans. She has no problem killing and getting rid of rich people, because hi Max, how you doing? She has no problem getting rid of rich people because in her eyes, anyone with money enough to be rich is by their very nature corrupt. Diablerie, sure. She will not trust a Ventru or anyone really with a lot of money. And I don't think, like Diablerie, I don't even think she knows about what that is right now, but we'll keep that in mind. So we got ourselves 3 convictions. How about this then? Eat the rich, none may control me. None may control me. I mean, this really makes her into a super anarch. But I think the problem here is that she's fine with being controlled, as long as it leads to her getting revenge. If none can control me, I guess she can kind of justify. She can kind of justify temporary control, the illusion of control. Yeah. Let's go with that one for now. I'm not even going to say eat the corrupted rich. She's just going to say eat the rich. When it goes out like, oh, Bill Gates donated $20 billion, she's be like, yeah, I wonder where that money came from. Like, she has no chill for rich people. Top from the bottom. Yeah, she worked her way up. So now we got 3 convictions. This is like, if it wasn't the fact that she's so distrustful against other vampires as well, she would be an excellent anarch. She's almost like she's very bruja almost. But yeah, she works methodically. And now, if we go back all the way to character creation, now you know why I put so many points into composure. Gotta think ahead. Gotta think ahead. Always to serve oneself. What do you mean? Not make control? She does sound a bit bruja, yeah. But it's all about how you decide to play this. A bruja might rebel against the system, might say the system is corrupt, might fight the system. She's not fighting the system. She doesn't give a shit about the system. Like, y'all can follow the system if you want. If someone fucks me over, I'm not going to the police. I'm going to go brap brap in the back of their head. Yeah, I just went brap brap. That's the kind of character this is. So that's the difference between being a bruja. Eat the rich, I will live off the rich. I will destroy them from inside. Not that I will destroy them, I will essentially, like they are feeding from, like how they used to feed on me, I will now feed on them. And they may never control me. They may think they can control me, but they never will control me. And I think it's good to keep a distinction here. I agree, read in different ways, she could be a bruja. None may control me. But I think just going too much, I think, do you want me to clarify it? None may control me ultimately, or save to, yeah, she'll hate herself. Hi Facundo. Her sire, yeah, she's struggling with that, because what her sire did was essentially, I am giving you now the power to rule over your own fate. That was why he embraced her. But he's still kind of controlling her. Like, she's not free yet, so there's definitely plot hooks there. So she has some trouble with this. She's happy about what her sire did, but she's not happy about the fact that she owes him her own life. Okay, Chronicle Tenets, not gonna go into that right now. Essentially, these are convictions that concern every party member. This is something you have to agree on with your group. Creative justice, for example, would work well with this kind of character without a cost. No, actually no. But street code, never snitch, respect others and demand respect, and don't kill outsiders, would work perfectly for this character. There's only 4 options here. I hope for a lot more in the player's guide whenever that comes out. But these are sample Chronicle Tenets. You're free to make your own. If you were, for example, to make a group of gangrel, cutthroat, investments people, like stockbrokers, maybe they would have profit before friends. What else could we have? Like never lose sight of the goal. Like you can go pretty crazy with Chronicle Tenets. These are soft rules, essentially put in place to help focus your group on the narrative focus that you want to be playing. I should probably make a video talking specifically about this, because I feel like we're semi-running out of time because I got work tomorrow and I want to finish the character. I really like this character, by the way. I would not have imagined that this is what she was going to turn out. We're going to look at the quote by the end and see how well that meshes with what we actually made, by the way. All right, so Touchstones. Dough before bros, absolutely. Touchstones. Each vampire begins with as many touchstones as convictions. Do not be confused. Touchstones are bad things. Objectively, they are bad for your character. Why? Because they are weaknesses. That's right, these are weaknesses. And as soon as you can accept that the system demands that you have weak points, the easier it will be to accept touchstones. They are for your storyteller to create drama. So, a lot of people say, do I have to have touchstones? Can I go on without touchstones? Can I have an inanimate object as a touchstone? No, they are mortals. They are people that can be put in danger. Very good reason they put that into the game. Touchstones appear in Chronicles of Darkness, the Onyx Path version, or New World of Darkness. This is specifically put into this game to make sure that you keep your humanity. because any threat to your touchstone is a threat to what keeps you human. These remind you of what you lost when you became a vampire. This is why V5 is so similar to V1, to the first edition of Vampire, because the core focus of the game is the slow and inevitable loss of humanity. Second edition, third edition, revised, and V20 more and more turned away from that and focused more on meta plot, on political game. I'm not saying that's bad, I love that, but the core of original Vampire was always the inevitable loss of humanity. Oh yeah, except there's some certain exceptions, like the Asher Hakata, who can have others. Yes, I really like. You could literally, you can make your own path, by the way, with your convictions. Conviction could be corrupt whenever you can. Tolerate no morality in your presence. These could be convictions. Convictions don't have to be good. Corrupt everything in your path, accept no moral judgment upon yourself. Like, you can spin it however you want. Which actually reminds me, she might, she should probably have a conviction about that, like corrupt, ruin the rich, maybe. Ruin the rich. Let's go with ruin the rich. Not necessarily eat the rich, but ruin them. Like, corrupt them, destroy them from inside. I think ruin the rich is more fitting with this character concept, which is not actually a very nice thing. Like, she's just making them worse, basically. So if she ever meets like a wealthy philanthropist, she's gonna do the best. Yeah, I know eat the rich sounds better, but it does have a lot of social connotation to, like, she is not politically left. I would say that she's close to libertarian or like an ultra liberal, with a really big thorn in her side against rich people. She's not, yeah, she's a bit of Path of Typhon right now. I might go back to Eat the Rich later, but I think Eat the Rich is very much a left thing, like a left-wing thing, and she's certainly not a socialist. Like, perish of thought. I would I think that's the huge difference between her and a Bruja. She's not, or like how a Bruja would present like this. She's not. She's not a good person. So let's have some touchstones. Yeah, she's an anarcho-capitalist. That's absolutely right. Touchstone must be a living human being connected to humanity through the inhuman, is at the very least going the long way around. So one of her touchstones, God, this is so complicated. Touchstone. Doesn't have to be someone you like, though. That's the thing. Each vampire used to value in life someone who represents or seems to incarnate one of your convictions. If lost, the conviction is lost as well. I kind of want to make her old boss a touchstone. Because how... old boss. Like, I kind of really want to make that her touchstone. Yes, exactly. Her old employer. But yeah, but like not even like a good way. She hates him. She hates his guts. But he's still in charge of the club she used to own, and he's kind of this reminder of her to not lose track of what she really wants. Because she doesn't care about vampire society. She doesn't care about Cain or Set or Gehenna or Golconda. She wants her fucking club back. So that's going to be like her boss is her touchstone right now. How would you make a touchstone for a really old vampire? You could, for example, say that the current head of your old family could be your touchstone, like the one keeping your lineage alive. It could be descendants of. It could be a descendant of a ghoul servant who you swore when they sacrificed themselves for you that you would protect their line forever. Like, again, I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff here, but it could be a journalist that suddenly made you recover from the brink of Vasile. Like, they started asking and poking questions that reminded you that you were human. It could be an investment banker who reminds you of how you used to be as a mortal. But yeah, it would definitely not be as personal, I think, as a new one would be. Let's see here. Brother. Who's a police officer. So she has a brother. They both moved to Sweden at the same time. I'm gonna say they actually moved here when they came without parents. Her brother, yeah. So her brother actually became a police officer. They lost touch when she dropped out of school. And he continued. He was a police officer. He tried to keep in touch with her, but she didn't want to. And eventually he became a police officer, and she keeps track of him now. And he is the system. So obviously she hates him, she hates the fact that he works for the man. But she actually regrets not following his advice because she ended up in this situation. Which was also a problem. She couldn't go to him because he would tell her to turn herself in. But she was complicit in so many crimes that she didn't want to go to jail or prison. And he actually was like, I'm not gonna tell on you, but you should go to the police. And she didn't, and she ended up getting fucked over and turned into a vampire. So she's like, he was right the entire time. I don't want to admit it. I don't want to talk to him, but goddamn, I'm gonna make sure that he'll be okay. He's also a police officer, not the safest line of work. So she's got her hands full with that. And never trust the system. Actually, you know what? We could definitely work more into that. We could have, like, maybe he actually eventually called the police on her, and that got everything started. So maybe she's like, maybe there's some betrayal in there. I don't know. Yeah, it could certainly be get offenders. That would be cool. Yeah, maybe she's kinfolk. That would be interesting. He's local. He's a street cop, I think. He's a street cop. Beat cop. Beat cop. Oh yeah, and yeah, one of her old employees who's now essentially when she lost the club, when the employee kind of lost her job and had to turn to prostitution. So definitely she's looking out for her, and she feels really bad about that. And I think that goes hand in hand with Ruin the Rich, because she's essentially, she was hooked on drugs and stuff when she was working at the bar. Yeah. Let's go with old waitress turned prost. But that's like the only female character that she has. That's how about this? I like this. Old waitress turned prostitute. There's really no reason her sibling can't be a sister. There's plenty of female police officers in Sweden. So yeah, make the old boss female. The old man, you guys are coming up with really good options. Old boss could be. They're all female. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. We'll make them all female. So yeah, she got her old boss, who actually somehow embodied does not make control me. Like, she sees a lot of herself in her old boss. The D is dead, most likely. Or no, it's probably neutral? Yeah, neutral. Sorry, I should have neutral. Neither. Sorry, and Fat Too Mad, you can confirm because you're the one who made the sheet. Yeah, it's neutral. Old boss hates, but diverse. So something not male or female. Okay, hates, but also kind of respects. Sister, snitch, worried, snitched on her a couple of times. Too close to the truth. Yeah, that's good. Old waitress turned prostitute, guilty conscious, drove her to drugs. Yeah, that's good. Like she actually convinced her to start doing drugs, which drove her down this road. So she's feeling pretty guilty about that. And I think we're actually done. Sorry. that's Matthew Mercer there. I think ambition and desire. We got that to go. Ambition and desire. Let me control me with a bad pimp. That's true. Then ruin the rich would be the old boss. I guess that works. It kind of doesn't super matter now. Like they're fairly connected to it. Oh yeah, it's actually it's Matthew Mercer doing the invasion of the body snatchers. Like that scene. Oh, I should be quiet. It's very late. I got that from season 1 of Critical Role, so it's a good picture. Okay, we're gonna do ambitions. Which is not gonna be very hard at all. Ambitions and desire. Let's see here. Let's go to the. Oh, it's right here. A character's ambitions keep them acting and moving both night by night and in the chronicle. It provides motivation for the player and story hooks for the storyteller. An ambition must be measurable in game terms. My ambition is to achieve Humanity 10, or a concrete achievement in the world of the chronicle. My ambition is to liberate Chicago from the Camarilla. An ambition is not something vague like end racism or achieve world peace. But instead focuses on something specific, like bring true death to blah blah blah, or end the Gehenna war in the Ukraine. If an ambition is unlikely to happen or would end the chronicle if achieved, it can still provide rich story juice. It only needs to be theoretically achievable. If a character achieves their ambition and the chronicle continues, the player should decide on a new ambition, ideally one that has emerged. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think ambition, get back club. That's pretty much a given. Desire reflects less than lifelong ambition, but more than momentary ones. Each session, a character can select a desire or keep their unfulfilled desire from the previous session. Once per session, when the character definitely acts to further or accomplish a desire, they may immediately recover 1 point of superficial willpower. So, I'm gonna give my storyteller a little hook here. Get sister off her trail. So, what that means is that her sister has. Oh, our cats are acting up. Our sister is actually on our character's trail. She hasn't, they haven't spoken for a while, so sister's getting worried, and essentially is investigating into this character's disappearance. So our desire right now is make sure that she just gets off our trail so she won't be killed. That's a pretty good starting desire. Rank title fledgling, because not that really matters. We're not in the Camarilla. And chronicle, Stockholm by night. Nah, we'll leave that blank for now. Now then, I'm gonna say, actually, let me get 20,000 names. I usually don't go to 20,000names.com right away, but I'm going to, let's see here. How about we go with Assyrian girl names? No, I think it's a pretty good sheet. The thing with sheets of this size is that there's everything that you could need. Oh, this is a nice feature, by the way. It's got everything you might need. Like, there's no way that my character is going to, for example, have oh, this is really useful stuff. Coterie information, blood rituals, for example. I'm not gonna have rituals, but other characters might. So let's just have it all on the same sheet. So it's a really good design. So let's see here. We are gonna go with Assyrian names, and basically she came here. No, let's wait. Let's go back. How about? Let's keep looking. How about they came here? What about they came here in? If it's 2019, 2020, it's 20. She's 20. She is from Bosnia. She's from Bosnia. In '93, the Bosnian Wars. So we had a lot of refugees coming here from Bosnia. If she's in Swedish, she's Bosnian. Works well. So Isabella, Irena, Hedvika, Anichka, Camila. Camila, I like that. Attendant for a temple. How utterly suitable for this. Yes, Skyrim DB. Fat to Mad made this sheet. So I will post a link in the stream description at some point. I don't know if I can do that now, unfortunately, but I will post a link because it's been a while since I posted a link to it. It's a homemade sheet, very encompassing and very good. I think Camila is good because attendant for a temple is just the kind of irony that the ministry would love. Bosnian surnames. Bosnian language surnames. Musemic, Mujic, Mijic, Mutapcic, Mustafic, Muzovic, Mulic, Mijic, Jelitz. Oh yeah, I have a Discord too as well. There's a link on my channel to the Discord if you all wanna join there. It's available. It's open. There's like 45 people there now, so there's always talks going on. So feel free to join. Musovic, yeah, it's a good name. How about Kovacev, Kodro, Jelebits, Majstorovic, Mandits, Jumur, Patic, Chevan, Bujnak, Buric. Buric. Yeah, I can give a link to the Discord if you all want it. Let me see here. Oops. The Primogen invite people. I am going to post that in the chat, and it's gonna expire after 6 hours. Boop. Copy. And we'll put it in there you go. Hopefully that will work. Kapich. Yajic, shoulders. Let's go with Yajic. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yajic. Yes. Camila Yajic. Mila. Her nickname is Mila. Camila. Ramovic. Ramovic is cool though, but I want to have the j sound. I think that's how we pronounce that anyway. Yajic. Okay. Whew. Health is going to be stamina +3, so that's 5. That's pretty average. Willpower is going to be composure, resolve, so that's going to be 6. Willpower, that's pretty high willpower. Could be higher, but maybe she should have, you know what? Maybe she should have higher resolve. Yeah, let's give her 3 resolve instead. Okay, wow, this took 3 hours. I hope you've all enjoyed creating Camila Jajic, the Ministry consensualist fledgling. I think specializations, we did one vices and victims. Yes, I did. I didn't give ones for academics, science, crafts, and one more because I don't have any dots in them. So I didn't put any points into that, unfortunately. I'll look it up. If I get to do that, I'll put them in later. But for now, I'll imagine it's not. Also, in case you're wondering about my elbow, by the way, which is really weird, I've gotten like a student's elbow thing. I've been on my elbows too much, so I got a swelling inside my elbow. It's kind of gross, but sorry about that. I don't know if it's been visible during the stream. But anyway, yeah, we are done with this character. I'm super happy. There's just one more thing we got to do, and that is to find her in the book and see if the quote still applies. I should definitely lotion it. You're right, they're very dry. I'm sorry you had to see that. That's gross. Oh man. I will put some lotion on my skin, yes, for sure. All right, let's go. Where is that pic? Here it is. So when we started out, we wanted to use, freeze? Oh, it's loading. We wanted to use this picture as inspiration. So trust funds and strategic marriages are all well and good if you want to have your own clothing line, but these fangs, this is where the world stops being your party and becomes your bitch. I'd like to say we've kept fairly close to the idea, right? I mean, this is the kind of person that probably started out being rich. But honestly, this has been an adventure. We've created a character out of just a picture and some ideas and a poll on Twitter. And I'd like to say I'm pretty happy with how she came out. And I think Camila, I would really love to play her actually in a game. Like, I think this character has a lot of depth. I had the beastie guy at her feet. He's I don't know what he is. Oh man. But yeah, this is the kind of character I like to play. This is how I approach a character. I always try to rationalize the choices I make. Giving someone 1 dot in a skill, honestly, don't need much rationalization. But giving someone 3 dots, 4 dots, for sure, you want to really be that's the driver. Yeah, she's got him on a leash. But he's a monster behind the wheel. Yeah, I feel like this kind of character, she's pretty well-rounded, and still you can kind of tell what she's good at. We're gonna make coterie members maybe at some point next Sunday. This coming Sunday, I would like to stream more Stockholm by Night Chronicle creation. I was not able to prepare for today. That's why I didn't do it, because I need to watch through it all again and clean up my notes and prepare that for next time. So I wanted to make a character, and who knows, Camila might show up in Stockholm by Night. Most definitely, unless I'm gonna put her in another game. There's one thing we forgot. We forgot the blood. And we forgot to give her experience points. We're not done yet. We need to give her experience points. Let me see here. Character creation, a summary sheet. Where's the experience points? Is it over here? Sorry, I fired off too quickly. She's obviously she's a childer. That means she doesn't get any experience points. You know what? Actually, this is what we made. We made someone who'd been embraced within the last 15 years. Right, so, Max, thank you for asking me. Sea of Time. This is the very last thing we're touching. I can already say she will be a childer, this character. She was recently embraced within the last 15 years, and her touchstones reflect on that. So she doesn't get any experience points. You're either 14th, 15th, or 16th generation, which means you're a thin blood. You have blood potency 0, but you get a bunch of perks to make up for that. Or you're 12th or 13th generation with blood potency 1. So she gets blood potency. Where do we get that? she's got 1. She's going to be a 12th generation. So, if you're a neonate, if you're embraced between 1940 and a decade ago, you're 12th or 13th generation, blood potency 1, and you also get 15 experience points. These can be considered your freebie points in a sense. It used to be in Revised that you were recommended to have been a vampire for about 20 years, and the points were used to reflect that. These days, this is how it works. So here's also the trait cost experience. I'm not going to go through this, but yeah, as you can see, advantages cost 3 points per dot, so they're not too expensive, so you can invest quite a bit in there. Disciplines are pretty expensive. Not super expensive, to be honest. I would probably put a lot of points into advantages right now, but again, she's a childer, recently embraced. There's no need to do that. If you're an ancillary, you're embraced between 1780 and 1940. Now, the reason for this is because your blood potency, much more than your generation. I would say, if you want to house rule anything, you can house rule generations, but not blood potency. Because blood potency we're going to cover in a little bit. Sorry for doing this at the very end, but blood potency essentially controls how well you can manipulate your blood, and it grows stronger with age. But yeah, you get a whole bunch of stuff if you're an ancillary. Yeah, that's right. They don't get any blood sorcery clans. Maybe that Tzimisce will be joining the Anarchs. Oh my god, Koldunic sorcery in the Anarchs. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh, you get House Ipsissimus too, Faceless Deviant. They're explicitly an Anarch House of Tremere. My god, Koldunic Tzimisce sorcerers in the Anarchs. It's crazy enough to be in there. Man, if they do that, I'm gonna pop a vein. I'm gonna burst a vein in my head. But yeah, let's go into. So yeah, this is decided together with the storytellers and other players. So everyone decides what you're all starting as, and you should all start at the same level. Then you get to do this. Let's go and quickly cover blood potency, blood potency. So this is a great chart made by Fat Too Mad, essentially showing what clans, what generations can be what blood potency. Great diagram here. So a generation 11 could be blood potency 3. Oh yeah, I guess you can raise the blood potency with other stuff. Yeah, generation could be a status thing as well. Generation, it's complicated. Blood potency is so much more important than generational things used to be, because they decide a couple of things, like how much blood you can push into your actions. Blood Surge is essentially boosting a trait. You can boost any ability now, not just the physical ones. You can boost your charisma with Blood Surge, which is kind of bananas, to be honest, and your intelligence. But it only lasts for 1 round, and you do a rouse check when you do that. Your mend amount is how much damage you can heal per round, or actually per rouse check. So for the first 1 or 2, let's find this blood potency chart, because that's gonna make it easier. Hey Wilma, it's time to show you off to the stream. Here we go. She doesn't like it when I do this. I'm just, oh yeah, she really doesn't like it. Here you go. Okay, off you go. Oh, don't step on the keyboard. Guess I should have seen that one coming. Where did we go? Blood potency. Okay, let me see here. Ooh, almost tipped the keyboard. There's a bunch of stuff about 0 blood potency. We won't cover that because I'm very, very tired. But yeah, Blood Surge. For each rouse check you do to heal, you can heal 1 damage, essentially. No, sorry, that's damage mending. 1 point of superficial damage. Blood Surge, you can add 1 die to your stat. At blood potency 3, you can add 2 dice to your stat. At blood potency 5, as you can see, if you have blood potency 10, like perhaps Helen or Helena from Chicago by Night, I don't know what her blood potency is, but it's insanely high. So like I was saying, this is per rouse check, and it's superficial damage. There's superficial and there's lethal damage. I don't know if they melted lethal and the other one that I don't remember what it's called. But essentially, werewolf claws, for example, won't be healable by mending. That's a different set of rules. You can add 1 die to your disciplines if you're at blood potency 2. And you can also, at blood potency 1, you may re-roll your rouse check when you're using a discipline that asks you for a rouse check. Oh, she has blood potency 7. Ooh. So she can essentially re-roll rouse checks for disciplines level 4 and below. She can add 3 dice to some of her disciplines. She can mend 3 points of superficial damage per round. Or essentially, yeah, per round, I think. Add 4 dice if she boosts. So she can boost her strength to like 9 or something. Yeah, lethal and aggravated are basically put together. So, and then Bane severity is another thing. Like, you don't have clan weaknesses anymore. You have severity, Banes. So if we went to go look at the ministry, where are you? The Ministry of Love. Oh god, this book is so poorly organized. I'm sorry. Who are the ministry? I don't know. Guns don't deal aggravated damage. They deal superficial. I think knives, guns, all superficial. Yeah, it's this is probably the most complex part of the game. With the blood thing. There's just a couple things you need to keep in mind, but they could have definitely made this clearer. But yeah, the values change very rarely. You can just bookmark page 216 because that's where you can look everything up. They gathered all the rules in one place, essentially. Where were we? Anarchs. The Bane of the Ministry is... The blood of a ministry abhors the light. When exposed to direct illumination, whether natural or artificial, members of the clan recoil. Ministry receive a penalty equal to their Bane severity to all dice pools when subjected to a bright light directed straight at them. Also add their Bane severity to aggravated damage taken from sunlight. So that's their Bane. Also, you can get a compulsion. Compulsions happen essentially when you... have a bestial failure. When you roll with your hunger die and you fail and you get a skull on one of them, that means you get a bestial failure. So that essentially means that you can get a compulsion. Yeah, they're very similar to La Sombra. Set teaches that everyone's mind and spirit are bound by invisible chains of their own making. Their blood chafing at these bindings, the ministry suffers a burning need to break them. The vampire receives a 2 dice penalty to all dice pools not relating to enticing someone, including themselves, to break a chronicle tenet or a personal conviction, causing at least 1 stain and ending this compulsion. Ooh boy. Yeah, I don't think guns never dealt aggravated damage. They always dealt bashing. Guns deal bashing damage because they're designed to puncture organs and cause internal bleeding, which doesn't hurt vampires. I thought. A messy crits you can also get compulsions, yeah. Yeah, V20 was I'll just say it out here. I don't think V20 is a good system for new players, especially people new to role playing. It's a very good book. It's a very well written book. It's a good edition of the game. But when V20 was made, it was never intended to be the new edition of Vampire. It was not called 4th edition. It was called 20th Anniversary Edition. And the reason was they made it in 2011 to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Vampire being made. At that point, the World of Darkness didn't exist, it wasn't being made anymore. It was the Chronicles of Darkness, which I don't think were being made either, because White Wolf was in this weird state of fluctuation, because CCP, or is it CCCP? No, CCP, the Icelandic company that owned the IP that bought White Wolf, wanted to make an MMORPG, but they never finished it, but they stopped publishing books. So V20, I think, is the last actual book published by White Wolf. W20 was the Onyx Path, I'm pretty sure. And V20 was intended to be an encompassing summary of all the good rules. Like they took everything they'd made over the years, all the bloodlines, all the disciplines, all the skills. They of course rebalanced stuff, got a whole slew of merits and flaws, and then just smacked it all together into one big tome. It was a celebration and a tribute to fans and the game. And then it turned out to be pretty popular. So when Onyx Path became a thing, they began publishing these books as well, and they started making new books for them. So Onyx Path Publishing revived 20th Anniversary Edition, which became semi-4th edition. And later books are much better reflecting at this, but Vampire V20 was meant for older players of Vampire, which is why I think it loses a lot of its roleplay undertones. I love, for example, Lore of the Clans and Lore of the Bloodlines. They're great books, but they give 20 pages to every clan in Lore of the Clan. I think roughly 20 pages, which includes everything with special disciplines, suggestions for characters, clan history, and clan behavior. That's not a lot. Like older clan books would be 100 pages. So I would always recommend you go get yourself the revised edition clan book, even for V5. Rather than, like, you should definitely have V20 books if you're still playing that system, but the revised edition books are going to give you more information. Beck's Jihad Diary is V20, and it was created to bridge the gap between V20 and V5, and also to kind of neatly tie a bow on all the plot threads through all the different Vampire games. Like in it, you have everything from the Giovanni Chronicles to the clan novels to everything, to Bloodlines. Becca's Jihad Diary is just this compilation of all the lore. Like it mentions all the canon lore from previous editions. It's a great Bible in that sense. It's a great read and super useful for me when I'm making lore videos. So I can really recommend it. But yeah, they're also backwards compatible. Like you can play previous editions of V20 stuff. V20 also gave us Children of Cain, the book about the Black Hand. So V20 is great. V20 is really good, and a lot of the source books are super good. I'm just saying I don't think V20 is the edition I'd start with. I think I'd rather go with V5 right away. And I think we're getting off the topic, but I'm extremely tired. So I'd just like to thank everyone for tuning in. This was a really fun stream. I had a great time making Camila, and hopefully we'll get to see her in a game at some point. And I hope I could help you out with the rules and character creation. And God, my throat hurts. So good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this with you. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll answer them tomorrow or as soon as I can. And hope you guys will want to see more of this. And we are living in the vampire renaissance, my friends. Paradox is realizing that they're sitting on a golden goose and they are reaping the rewards for that. So let's cross our fingers for more good vampire content. Bye everyone, and I will drop a link to Fat to Mad's character sheets in the description of the stream. Bye everyone, good night.